Hello. 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 Hello.
Dun, 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 dun. Hello. Dingle dangle, da 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 da, jingle jangle. Dun, 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 dun. What do you mean bamboozled? What are you on about? Also, I just realized I have left my microphone like unmuted this entire time for the viewers and everything like that. Absolutely insane. You could have heard everything. You could have heard everything! So wait, you got bamboozled. Been bamboozled. Hi there, Dalt. Welcome to the stream. Hi there, Het. Alright, so, thank you, Thank you, Sir Dragon. Welcome. Omega, welcome. We got Sir Dragon, we got Omega, we got my moderator, Jason, we got Bone, who's currently lurking. Dalt is watching right now. Hi. Hendrix is here. Het is here. You're early. You're still in your PJs?
Hello.
I don't think I'm early. It's like 6 It's 6 p.m. This is normally when I start streaming. Is it because of daylight savings? It might be because of daylight savings. God damn, 91% himbo. That's pretty good there, Het. So, yeah, it's probably, maybe daylight savings or something like that has done it for everyone, but, you know, that's midnight here. Once again, if I stream in the evenings, which is good for the Australians and good for the Brits, it's absolutely terrible for the Americans. I am so sorry. I wish I could be doing, like, you know, morning streams more often, but that's not, you know, a strong likelihood. I would have to, like, give up my job in order to do, like, morning streams or something like that, and I don't want to do that. I love doing this. It's a really great hobby, but, you know, I'm not about to give up my one job that is helping me keep me alive and in a home and has my internet connection and such. This thing, pretty good, don't get me wrong. Sometimes you pay for my internet bill. Dazzy is helldiving too? Of course he is. Of course he is, but we're not gonna be going for Dazzy, because Dazzy goes for, like, the impossible levels and all that kind of shit. Dazzy is, like, level 30 or 169 or something like that. Hi there, Eviscerator, welcome! I'm a lowly level... I know this. I am a lowly level, like, 15 or 16. I'm not really high up on the Helldivers, like, level and what have you, I'm sorry to say. He tried to recruit you, level 17 or so here. Yeah, fair enough. I got Helldivers recently, so I can now watch this. Nice! Actually, one thing I should probably double check is... I need to go to my... that's charity. Where's drops? Cookie for Bookie! Here's your cookie, Bookie! Cookie, Bookie. So yeah, I'm so sorry, Bookie, that I've not gone playing Fortnite with you this afternoon. I might be able to do it tomorrow, because tomorrow's the weekend for me, and I don't stream until the evening playing Monster Hunter World as part of the party game stream, so I might have some time tomorrow, like, afternoon or morning. Join peeps every now and again. Well, if you want to join in and play tonight, you know, you're welcome to do so after I, you know, get through my spiel and what have you. Right now, I'm just double checking, because I know a while ago there was, because I took part in it, there was a, there was a Twitch drop for Helldivers 2. I don't think I was able to get it, so hang on a sec. Nah, there isn't a Helldivers, looks like there isn't a Helldivers 2 thingy-majiggy for me to run for Twitch drop, which is unfortunate. That's okay. We'll make one day we will have, like, a really good we'll have a really good presence on Twitch, so then that way we can do the fun playing a video game and there's a Twitch drop involved with it, and I'm gonna have the tag that says drops are enabled, and everyone's just gonna be like, oh my god, free stuff? I don't care that it's a zebra playing the game! But that's not how it is right now, unfortunately. So yeah, work's done today. So yeah, I don't have to work Monday, which is really nice. I have a dental appointment on Monday, though, so I have to get through that. Let's have a look. So... has Bookie said anything? No, Bookie's just having a noms on their cookie. You saw Monster Hunter World went on sale. You're tempted to buy it and try it out for the first time. You're welcome to do so. Like, the thing I like about Monster Hunter World is even if you get someone that's, like, leagues ahead of you in monster rank or equipment or something like that, it's not an obvious, like, level progression thing of, like, oh, they just get things done in, like, 1 or 2 hits. They get things done, like, it's the difference between 1,000 hits and 900 hits is what it is. It's not a dramatic thing until, you know, for example, maybe you try and go up into their level where you're not really doing that much damage or anything like that. So, it's not problematic when higher level peeps come down. So, yeah. You really want to see the eating moments in the game. They look amazing. Oh, the food, like, don't get me wrong. The food is amazing. Also, hi there, little Incineroar. Thank you for touching the butt. The the food in Japanese media, I feel like, is always, you know, leagues ahead of when Western cultures do it. Like, America doesn't do food very well in, like, their media. Like, the few times they do, it's unfortunately has to be, like, the very focus, and even then it doesn't do it. Like, the only time I've seen, like, a fictional, like, TV show or movie do food well was in Hannibal Lecter. Like, the TV show Hannibal, I'm saying. That one gave, like, it gave a nuance and just a loving view of the food being made and crafted. Granted, it's based off human people, but it still looked delicious. That was the amazing thing. Alrighty, I am going to slap you over onto the left. I gotta get back over there. Do I have anywhere else that I want to say, oh, hey, it's me, I am online and streaming? I think I've posted everywhere that I've wanted. No, don't turn me bald! Ah! Please don't slap me, that shit hurty. I'm not gonna slap you. So, alrighty. I need to get back into my thingy-majiggy, because... Alright, where is... Stop showing my ass. Stop trying to show people my ass, okay? The pants are never coming off. Alright, we're gonna go into my game. Well, it's not my game. I didn't invent it or anything like that. So, the dental planet will be a breeze. I really want to see the eating moments in the game. Do you love me, Mom? Speaking of food, gonna go make myself some. Not to worry. Alright, you have a good time, Eviscerator. Alright, the game is starting up and what have you. Hopefully it'll get there shortly. I need to move my thingamadoogies around. Hang on, where did... Sorry, Oh, I see, they've... Where are they? There they are.
Super Earth, our home. Prosperity.
I die immediately.
Is the thing loaded for everyone?
To go pro.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I do not have time to react that fast when they do that, though.
That's why I use controller.
But freedom doesn't come free.
Where's the sweet liberty? No! Alright, you guys didn't get to see the opening video, but that's fine. It's not important. It's basically war propaganda film of like, oh hey, you should join the army. It is absolutely fun. There is no questionable like, you know, morality to deal with or anything like that. You should be proud to join the military. Like, it's gonna be like that. All right, specific thingy-majiggy. Can I capture any full screen application? Let's see. Hang on a second. Donk. In a minute. Donk. Alrighty. Nope, it's not doing what I want. God damn it. Why does this game have to be so difficult to capture? Capture a specific window. Helldivers 2. Come on.
Welcome aboard, Helldiver.
You're staring in the sky and having food. This isn't the sky. This isn't real. Like, do you really think that there's a galaxy zebra out there? Hey, come on. Hello. This is you capture monitor. I don't like the capture monitor, personally speaking. What's more is OBS doesn't like it when you try and capture monitor either in the same...
Greetings, Helldiver.
Where the fuck is the... Because... Alright, this is my game sources. Turn it...
And now, another helpful tip from General...
Your character is staring in the sky at the ship. Okay. Like... Black screen and no audio. Okay, so there's no audio either. That's not great. This was working like minutes ago. So I can do the thingamadiggy there. Hide it, show it. Give me a second. I'm gonna... It was there? You saw it and everything? Hang on. Options, display, NVIDIA GeForce, screen device, resolution. Let's go full screen and let's see what happens. Oh, nope, didn't like that. It did not like that. Hang on a second. Something's wrong. Just gonna Alt F4 that. I'm gonna join you. I'll need game friend code. I will figure out that nonsense once I get my thingy-majiggy working. Hi there, Wild Saber. Give me a mo, okay? I need to try and, like... I understand Helldivers has, like, an anti-cheat thingy-majiggy. It shouldn't be preventing capture or anything like that, though. So I'm not fully understanding as to, you know, why it is like as it is. Gerg. Also, sorry for the music stopping. I need to stop the music, you know, if there's going to be, like, a game playing. So... It was there for a second? Oh. Alright, frame rate drops. That's bound to happen. Super... Hey! There we go! Can you see it? Can you see it? The Super Earth Ministry of Truth? It's time to watch the, It's time to watch the propaganda film.
Super Earth, our home.
It's our home.
Prosperity. Liberty. Hi there.
Hi there.
Democracy. Our way.
Of course not. Look at this man.
Hello.
Look at this generic white man with a simple haircut, and he's not super, like, fit. Oh no! His multi-diverse family! No!
Look familiar?
You're right, Izzy. The Ministry of Truth wouldn't lie to you.
All over the galaxy right now. You
It's
could...
the guy from the scene.
That is, unless you make the most important decision of your life.
Honestly, that is a fucking cool transition.
And the courage.
Like, I know exactly how they would have done it in 3D, considering you have the opportunity of, like, being scrupulous and such. But imagine trying to do that, like, in real life. Being like, alright, pose, and then do the finger click thing. Like, you have to remember your decision from whenever you did that. Ew.
Spread managed democracy throughout the galaxy. Become a hero.
I'm ready, sir. Just send me out there, coach. Yeah. Alrighty, so we are on the SES Stallion of the Stars. And I have new things I can unlock with my thingy-majiggy. What does this thing do? Increases the initial inventory and holding capacity of stims by 2, increases stim duration by 2 seconds. Cool. I'll at least claim it. So then that way we can then go... So we're one, like, thingy-majiggy away from claiming that page and moving on to the next. I like how this almost looks as good as the Matrix tech demo. It is... I'm pretty sure this is an epic... this is a Unreal Engine 5 title/game anyway. Midiakai, thank you for the follow. Hopefully you're having a good afternoon, morning, evening, or night. Alright, what's this? Reduces recoil when crouched, presents resistance, increases stims, stim duration. The helmets don't do anything, and we can purchase super credits if we want, but we're not going to. Ken the Nekomata, thank you for the follow. America's so nice. Fair enough. Understandable. Good evening. Alrighty. Ooh, I can get the Mortar Sentry if I wanted to. Ballistic Shield, Guard Dog Rover. I think I'm gonna get the Guard Dog Rover. Because honestly, that is a pretty decent drone, which is coming from Engineering Bay. So the next thing I need to do is collect epic and common samples. A little bird told me you were live, so I thought I would join in. Are they out of their cringy Elon Musk phase right now, or is the little bird still calling themselves X and they're just sort of being like, it's not a phase, chat. I am totally a hip new website using latest in the arts of AI. Like, are they still doing that, or have they actually changed back to Twitter? Contain the Tyranid outbreak before the bugs are able to thingy-madoogie. Alrighty. So, this is where I am. This is the mission we're going to do. We're just gonna need to do a bit of a jump. I also need to find out some, what's-a-mahoozy peeps. Need to find some what's-a-mahoozies. I need... the too real moment for me. Oh god. I need friends. This is the crux of this game, is you need friends. Alrighty. Oh, hello. Let's see. So, right now, fighting Tyranids on Veld, fighting Tyranids. Puffin! And then there's Alexi. Jump into any VC on your server. Oh, yeah, that's right. VC ship. Hang on a second, Dink donk. Nope, wrong thingy. Dink donk. There we go. I need to jump into my VC and what have you. I need to go into here. I'm in. And over is Eviscerator.
Hi.
Oh, hello. And Valkyrie Nixia. Alright, give me a second. I need to...
Hello.
It's that PNG. Cool.
Yeah, it's... So it should just be whatever you defaultly set in the Fugi Reactive. I know some people have, like, their own, what's-a-mahoozy, like, custom ones. Like, so if I present myself as, like, one specific PNG thing, I can then force others into other things as well, but I didn't want to fuck around with those settings.
That's the one I set when I was still using Fugi before I swapped the landing tube. So, which is weird because it's not the one I've given to people.
Nice. Fair enough seas. Wait.
I will need your friend code because I am on a PS5.
Ah, okay. I was wondering what was... Also, background noise kind of nonsense. Hang on. Did someone get into my session without me knowing, is the question.
You got a full team now.
How?
Did you... Oh, you set it to public, didn't you?
Has joined the... Oh. Social.
You'll have to...
How do I get out of them?
You'll probably have to kick everyone. Well, you'd have to set option, go into options, set it to friends only.
So
and then kick everyone.
Pretty much, yeah.
For first options, set the friends only before you start kicking, or else new people will just join.
Yep.
Matchmaking privacy, friends only.
I'm trying to change it right now, but...
Use the arrow keys, maybe?
Alright, hang on. I know how I fix this. Ding. Kick.
Kick him.
Kick. And then options. There we go. Apply, so it's friends only. Yep, cool, you're still there. Alrighty. I was wondering, because I was hearing noises and I was like, what's going on? And then it's like, Nick's is just like, oh, you're full party. So, social. Alright. Friend code is 38074049.
38074049.
Yes, exactly. I love how Wild Saber's just like, God, I wish someone could give me this game. Look, Wild Saber, I had this game gifted to me. I wasted my money on Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League because I was like, oh, I'm interested in a if I'm interested in a game, I want to get a game that's gonna at least give me story. This game doesn't exactly have a story; it's a background. I put it like everyone's like, oh, but it has a story, a la Elden Ring or Dark Souls, and I'm like, no. Elden Ring and Dark Souls have a very vague like story and drive and what have you. This game is even further away from that. There is window dressing for like, oh, like the choice of your wood for your wooden TV or something like that. There isn't a driving force. You're not a main character. You are cannon fodder for Super Earth and all this kind of nonsense. And the obvious fun is in the mechanics and in the friends. It's a good thing that the mechanics are fast. Oh, hang on. Friend request.
Yeah, this game is essentially space D&D, and our dungeon master is Joel. I'm not joking.
Yeah, no, there was someone did do a tweet and such where they explained how there is a person that can come into the server and make some adjustments to different sessions and what have you. So, and they were joking that it's like a guy named Joel. Like, don't get me wrong, I think it's always cool when like a studio has like a means to be able to be like, oh, here's someone that can like do some small adjustments and what have you. But holy shit, it is a little bit spooky that it's like a developer can just go into whatever session.
Mission preparation aborted.
You're gonna need to send me an invite. It's not showing you as online.
Yep, no, not to worry, not to worry.
Mission
Sorry.
coordinates locked.
Alrighty, invite to squad. It says you're on mission on Veld. Let's see. Alright, so
I am not.
Interesting.
Maybe just a little
There
bit.
it goes. Cool.
Nice.
Whoa.
Alrighty. I got no other friend
I mean,
requests.
hey, when it comes to the main story of this game, it's simple. You see that planet?
Hang on.
It is.
Give me a
it
second. I
belongs
need
to
to
Super Earth.
let me immerse myself into.
Okay, so you see that planet right over there.
Yes.
In the name of democracy, go fuck them up. The end.
Gotcha. Cool. Absolutely understandable. No two ways
It's
around
all in
it.
the name of democracy. We don't care if they are aliens, robots, anything. Just go kill.
I don't care if it walks on 2 legs or 4 legs. Hi there, Commander Zhao! Alrighty. So, we're going to be eliminating a Tyranid swarm.
Is enough.
Alrighty. I will go with the space optimization. I reckon we're gonna have a limited space, so...
Oh,
Mhm.
I can't choose any boosters because it's not letting me choose space optimization. Oops.
We can't-
That's the only one I have.
The optimization thingamadiggy, I think, makes it so that it's applied to everyone. So give me a second. Let me...
Yeah.
Yep, so that's
Do you have
Gatling.
another booster? Because I could bring in space optimization.
Yep,
It's the only one I have.
that's fair. I've got Vitality Enhancement, which makes, Helldivers resistant to injury. So,
All right.
so
I'm as ready as I can.
Launch.
nice. Alright, let's do this. How's it going, Commander? Also, actually, I should probably... Damn it. Wait, I have moderators. They can do this for me. Could we please get a shout out for, Valkyrie Nixia? If you say something in the chat real quick, Nick, they'll be able to, like, at you and such. And for Eviscerator, please. These are 2 streamers that are going through the grind, just like I am.
Yep. I was gonna stream this tonight, but I decided I need a rest after today's pain.
Understandable.
Yeah, like I said, normally I don't stream around these times, and according to statistics right now, I probably never will.
Well, here's my first thought, is you're gonna, like, when it comes to the whole Twitch grind thingamadiggy, is you just have to tell people. Thank you, Jason, for doing the shoutouts. Like, I have, like, a 5-minute, timer before, you can hear me and such a lot of the time. The reason for that is because I'm spending that 5 minutes going into every Discord that has a self-promotion channel just to do a little message of, oh, hey, I'm online now, you can find me here, da-da-da. So.
Oh yeah, I definitely don't do that. I do like a shout out on my 44 followers, you know, Valkyrie Nixia channel, and that's about it. And then I'm like wondering, what's going on?
Oh, hello, big boy.
Yep, right behind us. There we go. Oh, we got a mortar.
Mortar
Okay,
turret. Yeah, mortar, except no substitutes.
Alrighty. I'm gonna throw a Gatling. I'm gonna throw a Gatling over here. And then... Oop, common sample. Thank you. I'll take that. Oh, there's only 15 common samples. Okay, so we don't have much to work with.
That's a decent number, though.
Yeah. Alright, I'm gonna see if I can... Now, the
Watch out for the mortar as well.
Yeah, no, mortars are... Valkyrie and I have had our experiences with someone doing mortars and such. Alright, let me see if I can get this landing... I'm putting an autocannon on, like, the top part of this, whatever those are called. So hopefully... Nope, it just broke through all of them.
It do be that way. Oh, looks like my Gatling ran out of ammo.
Yep. So many bugs.
And the mortar ran out of ammo.
Dropping a pin. Northeast.
I'm guessing... Oh. I wasn't meaning to leave
What's
the
over
mission
there?
area. No, I was just putting a marker. I forgot. Oh, wait, no, I'm not scout. It means nothing.
South.
There, because with the body, like, if you're a scout with your body armor, it gives you, like, a little, like, area of effect ping on when you drop your pin. So you can see if there's, like, other, like, things there or what have you.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. Oh, found the breach hole.
I'm still looking for some samples, but so far nothing, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Apparently
we got
there's, like,
only 5.
15 here, but... Oh. I'm not too sure if
I'll
I'm
just
supposed to be
continue.
looking for... Oh, found 2. So, it looks like it is a mixture of things in boxes already, and those weird, like, balls on a stick.
I need to reload my grenade launcher.
Ooh, we're going through this very quickly. We only have 2 left.
Nice.
Nice.
Nice. Oh,
Oh. Your auto cannon killed me there.
sorry about that.
All good.
I mean, come on, you should be dead. There we go.
almost. There we go.
Oh, yeah, I forgot I swapped my weapons out for things that were more effective against the bots because I was gonna go check out what Space Vietnam was.
It is exactly...
But then my friend decided to get off.
Yeah, no, Space Vietnam is exactly what it sounds like. It's Space Vietnam. It's like, weirdly enough, you can choose to stealth it, I feel. But then there's like the other side issue, which is, I don't know why, but I feel like the robots call for backup way quicker and from all sorts of like enemy units compared to the bugs. Because with the bugs,
I think that might have been the game master for that one.
Grant,
yeah, what's up?
catch me, catch me.
What do you mean catch you? Oh, Jesus! Can I stimulate?
Yeah, that works.
No. Okay, hang on a second. Wait. I need the achievement. Wait, nope. There we go. All right, stim. There we go.
Okay.
You get an achievement for like stimming another. Eviscerator killed me.
You know how I did that? I've never killed anyone that way before.
So you just been throwing that every time we've escaped?
Every time anyone's escaped, I've never killed someone that way.
Or at least anyone that
It's
decided
literally
to
a
tell
first.
you. Alright, main objective completed. One of our held up.
We might have lost a few
It
samples.
didn't
there.
matter.
Oh no,
Everyone extracted.
it says everyone extracted.
Okay.
All right, my end match celebration can continue.
So it seems, yeah.
Sure did it. And there we go.
Yeah. Got it.
Finished everything there. So we can choose a new sector of the map if we... Oh, Hellmire is, like, no liberation. What the hell?
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah.
Oh.
The current target is Veld.
Okay. I swear there was still, like...
I think you could. Yeah. I let you finish.
I thought there were, like... I knew Mavalon Creek was, like, gone, so to speak. Like, we couldn't go there anymore.
You can now.
Oh. We've unlocked a new difficulty.
I unlocked hard. You unlock. I don't know what you unlocked, but I unlocked hard.
Nice. Alrighty, hang on. So, we now need to go for... Do we want to go for the robots? You want to... Give me a second. So we got Mantis, we got Dropnir. Where's Mavalon? There's the creek. So we got Extreme available to us now.
Okay, okay.
Let's see, we got... So these guys are in existing missions right now. Launching ICBM, so the 5, 7, and 9. 5, 7, and 9.
I would say everything is 579. It's,
Okay.
Operation accomplished.
difficulty
Your
related.
valor is beyond question.
Alright.
Oh yeah, can I afford anything? That's the question of the day.
Let's go for the Blitz.
Initiating FTL jump to the Malevolon Creek system.
Let's go.
Blitz.
We're gonna
Alright,
deal
so-
with some clankers.
Clankus.
Clankers!
They have to go for like a next level of meme when it comes to the ship system going like traveling to Space Nan.
Coordinates locked.
They have to go
good.
one level further.
Oh wait, we need to get out of the pods. Eviscerator wanted to check out some stuff, didn't he?
Bro, I'm good. I finished what I was doing.
Okay, fair enough. So yeah, so has gained grounds in this region, constructing a vast network of fabricators which allow them to replicate extremely rapidly. So it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 5 areas all across the north half. So what we'll probably do is start in the south quadrant and rotate clockwise.
Cool.
Got it.
Oh, I am down a stratagem apparently. Why?
What? That doesn't make sense.
One of my stratagem choices is grayed out.
Oh,
a
mine
modifier.
is too. What? Oh, AA
It's a modifier of the
defenses.
planet.
It's because of the anti-tank. All right, hang on a second. Gonna swap from Rover. I'm gonna get machine gun instead of Gatling because I feel like we're gonna be doing a lot of moving around here.
Yeah, definitely. Blitz is like 15 minutes, I think.
15 minutes, yeah. So I've at least got like the
Oh,
cluster
machine
bombs
gun.
to be able to throw those like rapidly and what have you. But yeah, Rover for the lasers, machine gun. All right.
Yeah.
Launch initiated.
Does the mortar
As much
work
as
on
I
the
like the
fabricator?
grenade launcher. As much as I like the grenade launcher, I feel like machine gun might help me better here.
There's no right way to skin a bug. Experiment with different tactics and see what works. God, some of these titles or hints are absolutely silly. Alrighty.
How do you skin a robot? That's the question of the day.
Oh, easily. Alrighty. Let me quickly get my...
And here we go.
There's already things
Already
there.
off.
I see. Machine gun. Oh, dropships.
Oh shit.
Big
it's right
boys.
on-
Yeah, I see him. I see him. Dropping grenade just below.
Yep.
I can't get to the last one.
Thank
You
you.
good?
I'm good.
I think we're good.
Alrighty.
Something's still angry.
Over there. Yeah, nope, got it. Alrighty. So yeah, it looks like we got our choice. I say.
ATSD.
Dropping a pin. Northwest.
Oh, I see him. I see him. I see him. Do you think you can dome the top of him?
I can try. One of us can get the attention, and the other one can take out the one behind.
Oh, those guys are always a pain. Oh, nice. Never mind. They weren't that much of a pain.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at dealing with these shield boots. Just aim for their arm.
Oh, did you? Okay, so we got something north by northwest. Looks like a submission. Let's see what it is. Maybe it'll help us point out the things because we only have so many minutes.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, run.
Yeah. What did you just activate?
I sneezed.
One of the
That's a-
bombs that was dropped on the ground.
That was a very powerful sneeze. Hi there, Het. Oop. Reload real quickly behind this rock. Hopefully they don't. If you can't get to the heads, you can at least get to the legs. Oh, Jesus, what the hell got me then?
Huge amount of fire coming from the right.
Yeah, I see some of them. Oh, Jesus.
Friendship door.
Stims.
I got the people shooting at us with explosives from a distance.
I'm gonna need one of you. There's a friendship door.
There,
I'm coming.
oh, you're not where I'm having troubles.
Nope.
Damn it, my Eagle cluster bomb is jammed.
It's one of these doors. It's like we're having a war and you're trying to open a door.
Yep. Oh, god damn it, Strider just like landed on, just decided to like crawl on top of me. What'd you find?
Some rare samples and some guns.
Alright, sounds good. I'll check out the guns.
Yeah, Star Waltz. So they're the weaker machine gun, but still, it's a machine gun.
Faster reloading and what have you. We don't exactly have a lot of time either, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, this is a very guerrilla warfare-esque mission.
Yep. Gotta just sort of run and gun.
Okay, there's a radar over there. Oh fuck, the jammer, right.
Yep. Ah, you found the...
Tactical asset. Sweet.
There we go. Go. Alright. Activating the radar station. Getting serious here. Don't.
I got the terminal.
Alright, raising tower.
Cool, cool.
Okay, where's the jammer though?
Not too sure.
It has to be close. It has to be either the mark or the next one.
Throwing supply beacon.
Ow. Got hit by something over there. It might be that thing over there.
Okay. Come on, come on, come on, come on.
Orders ever so slightly out of range. That's unfortunate. It pissed them off and it
Alright.
can't finish the job.
Engage in terminal.
Keep going, keep going. Stop.
Got it.
There we are. Let's get moving.
Okay, something.
Bot drop to the east.
Yep.
That's a anti-air, I think.
I see you're picking up samples.
Oh, that's a grenade.
Ooh.
This is why I wear heavy armor.
That's one fabricator destroyed.
Oh, hey, big turret.
Where?
Throwing grenade.
That's two.
We still jammed. This to be the other base.
So, anti-air over here.
I'll keep their attention with the big gun.
Alright, we'll do.
I can't really see them very well, so...
Are me and Valk like in a good spot for you to try and bring them forward, or do you need us rotating?
Just try... If I'm getting their attention, then just focus the fabricators.
Will do.
Fire in the hole.
Fabricator number
there we
3.
go.
Sample collected.
Go.
Alright, how do I get off of this thing? Oh, hi.
Uh,
Good thing I got
press
a
and
good thing I
hold
figured
E.
that out. I bought a controller.
Ah,
Okay,
okay.
I'm gonna help bomb it.
Big angry bomb. Always good to use the big angry bomb.
Oh, it's that big angry bomb. Where's the count? Alex.
Well, you two do that. I'm gonna go agitate the next base over here.
Alrighty.
Gotcha.
We're running east.
Oh boy.
Yeah, they're kind of all over the place. Thank you for stopping firing as I like ran in front of you. Sorry. Alright.
Oh, that's.
Hey, reload.
Ah, never mind. We're fine.
Stop shooting my mortar turret. I've got this other fabricator under heavy fire at the moment.
My body.
We got 3 minutes
Can
remaining.
I get that grenade in? I think I got that grenade in. I did not get that grenade in.
Where is... Okay, we need to start heading north, like, right now.
Yeah, I'm currently trying to take out a fabricator over here.
There should be another fabricator over, near What's-A-Mahoozy,
Ah, shit.
over at the extractor, because it's, like, surrounded in red, and we're gonna need to get to that, at least.
Yeah.
Where's... Oh,
Can I get this grenade in? There we go. I killed myself, but I got the grenade in. I dropped all my samples, though.
Give me a move, give me a move, give me a move.
Calling in
Throwing you in the direction of where I saw your dig. Oh! That's a tank.
Well, come the fuck
I
on,
almost
just
hit it.
blow up.
I've never fought a tank before. How the hell do you fight this?
With stratagems.
Requesting air support.
Eagle cluster bomb going off there. I would recommend getting away from it.
Don't worry, I'm nowhere near it.
Still alive, by the by.
Rare sample.
Oh god.
Well, I've got a
Great.
cluster bomb as well. Merry Christmas!
Merry Chrysler.
Damn it.
Happy Christmas.
Oh,
That
I
got
got
me.
murdered.
I suddenly remembered something.
Oh no, I'm alive. Okay.
Yeah, I'm scared myself. I kind of wish there was more like that. You did a great job on them. What do you mean I did a great job on them? What
Tank.
shows are you talking about, Het?
The tank took me out.
Yeah, the tank's a bit of an annoying one. And what's more is our samples are like on it, so...
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the other side.
Oh. Well, there goes
Probably
our-
not getting those samples if we're gonna be brutally honest with you. You look at the time.
Yeah. And what's more is we need to make our way north. Like,
Yeah.
rapidly.
Proceed to extraction when ready.
Alrighty.
Let me just get my machine gun out because it's probably the last time I'm gonna get anything out.
Yep.
Calling down a support weapon.
Deploying support weapon. 1 minute remains. Destroyer departure imminent.
So wait, is the
I
shuttle
may or may not have
already
a set of
there,
fuels.
or?
No, it's about to arrive. It's gonna be like 30 seconds, then it's gonna be timer before it arrives.
Alrighty.
Just rushing the shuttle location.
Throwing grenade.
Ah, this is bad.
Yep.
Gonna at least see if I can get a mortar sentry out here.
Super destroyer departed. Stratagems extraction shuttle en route in 2 minutes.
Tagging map.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I'm
we
booking
got
it.
2 minutes and we got no more stratagems. Alright. So that's how it
Yeah.
goes.
I've at least got a mortar sentry down over at the shuttle landing zone.
Alrighty, sounds good. So long as none of us die from it, should be good. Oh, would you look at that? I found a friend door.
I'm at the shuttle at least. It's pretty safe over here, all things considered.
All things considered, cool.
Rare sample.
So at least one of us will be able to escape.
Alrighty. 1 moment, please.
1 minute.
Yep, I'm moving. Alright, I got the samples.
The mortar is not really doing much of anything, but I think it's keeping them distracted.
Sounds good.
Oh, I got 3 kills. It finally killed something.
You got a lot of incoming over there.
30 seconds.
On my way, almost there. I see the beacon.
Sample collected.
20 seconds.
We can hear it. Here, you don't have to say it again.
Okay.
I'm dead. By the way, Grant, 5 seconds.
No! Ah! The minute you said 5 seconds, it decided to, like...
Over here attracting the hordes.
Where are they?
Reloading.
Democracy.
Democracy.
There we go.
Not do... Oh wait, you can't do the stratagem, never mind. I was about to say.
Oh, even if you died, you would have survived.
Yeah, I tried to hold the ground, but there was too many of them.
Nah, it's okay. It's my first time doing a blitz one as well, and like, yeah, it doesn't help that one of the stratagems gets blocked.
I can only say that when it comes to the blitz, you can definitely forget about like doing everything at the same time. There's a really low chance that you will make it.
Yeah. But hey, we were able to get rid of like a small and a medium, so...
Oh yeah.
Wait, did we actually complete the first, like, mission? Okay. Cookie for Jason! Welcome back from the showers. Just quickly throwing it. It's just like, Cookie be upon you, Commander Zhao.
Did he farm that cookie in the showers?
No, he just asked for a cookie after he was done from the showers. Cookies are for closers.
I want a cookie.
Well, things considered, we got a decent amount of samples and some, and everything else in the process too.
Yeah, no. I feel like when, like, in a group of, like, 2 or 3, and it's like we're able to manage the whole... Cookie! Oh, here you go, Nixia. Here's your cookie. Alrighty. Let's check the stats. Most shots fired. Nearly a 50% accuracy shot on my side.
I fired the most shots.
Nice. Alrighty. More medals. I can now get the helmet. There we go. And move on to... What do I want to get? Super credits? Unblemished Alliance. hero, the high five. No, I'm just gonna actually dunk. I'm gonna get the new cape. There we go. Alright. New ship modules, nice. Decreases support weapon cooldown. Eagle stratagem cooldowns reduced by 50. Reduces deployment time for audible stratagems by 1 second. Reduces deployment time for all sentries. I'll have a look at those at a different time. Level 20.
Wait a second, what else do we have in here? Oh, okay.
Okay, so I need 10,000 for the orbital laser, seems.
Oh yeah, I'm level 10. I can buy a thing.
Nice.
I have the money to buy the thing.
8,000, 9,000,
Where is it?
8,000.
There it is. I now have the thing.
The thing.
The thing at the time and the place. For the
Exactly.
purpose.
And at this time of year, located right in your kitchen,
Yes.
may I see it?
No.
No.
Oh.
This heavy armor really does look nice.
Hmm.
I just like how we simulate wind inside of the ship for the sole reason of cape.
Absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. Inventory holding capacity stems by 2. Yeah, I'll keep that equipped. Yep, got my different cape.
Look how the new cape just looks like the first cape, but with some gold on it.
So those are my boosters. Alright.
Alright, fine, I'm gonna help the party and get some
Alright.
armor too.
Let's do a sabotage airbase next.
Sounds fun.
Prime.
Yeah.
Sounds like a job for a mortar.
We're still
Or
limited
50.
to 3 stratagems by the by, so.
Orbit.
Yep.
We'll manage.
Probably not going to bring in any air-based ones, just in case there's even more jammers.
Alright, so there's dropship to the south, airbase control tower to the north. Let's go south. Let's start on the right edge here. Start with the south content because there's a lot of it. Move over to the north to get the last piece, and then we can head back east to get out of the way of that.
Cool, cool.
Alrighty. I'm gonna get my rover again. Gatling. And... So you got this guy, you got actually, no, you got all that, so I'll go with... Darn, now that I have to, like, think about this... No, I'll go with Autocan.
Launch initiated.
E. Superior firepower always wins out, and there's a good chance we might not be able to use our eagles 9 times out of 10.
Yep, no.
Because of jammers.
If an enemy ever attempts to engage in diplomacy, shoot him. We mustn't believe their lies.
We want peace.
First you don't succeed, then dive, 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 dive again.
Nice. Alrighty.
Gotta love that one.
And should you fall, remember this. Every day is a good day to die for democracy.
Alrighty. So... Yeah, let's engage with the first mission, which is getting rid of the drop ships.
Cool, cool.
Requesting air support.
Oh, that's a nice welcoming party.
Oh.
Found something. Bag's empty.
All right.
was
Successful.
We're all alive?
Medals.
Alright. Let's start heading west. Southwest.
Yeah, okay.
You can still be thankful for me, Het. I do what I can to make people happy. For instance, I try to make myself happy. Alright.
Aggressively thank everyone.
Alrighty, how are we going to cross... Oh, Velk might have the... You might have the right idea there with where you're at.
No, it's too deep, it's too deep.
It's too deep where you are as well. God damn it.
Marking location.
Gonna try go by the right side, but...
Oh, I see. Yeah, I see the land bridge.
Northwest.
It's a good thing we have 40 minutes this, and not 5.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for that, yeah.
Yep, we're fine. This one works.
Shout out to the robots and their anthem. The robot national anthem.
The robots have an anthem?
Yep.
Weird.
If you listen, if you hear them in the distance, it sounds like they're making some form of music.
Hello, hello.
Hi ho, hi ho. To off to work we go. Hi ho. Oh,
There's a turret over there.
looks like there's a jammer. Oh, fabricator over here.
Tagging location.
I'm trying to track the turret, but it doesn't let me.
Close.
There's a hole. Hold on.
Oh.
Rare sample of
I see a hole.
Oh boy, that was close.
Yeah, I know my holes thankfully.
Damn it. Raider got me. Oh, because there's enemies from behind as well. I did not.
I'm gonna drop you directly on the fabricator that's
I will
right there.
die, unfortunately. I think
I've got a.
tested this before.
Wait, is that a tank?
Point me to the enemy.
That's a tank.
Dropship. Reloading.
requesting air support.
Hey, reload. Ow.
Oh,
Rocket
The
got
hell
me
just
again.
killed me there.
Mine says a rocket devastator or something.
I went flying, and I don't even know what sent me flying, but all I know is my death was apparently to impact.
Hmm.
South. Close. Reinforcing.
Alright.
Request approved. Deploying reinforcements.
oh, that tank is close. Holy shit.
Branch, but with my thing. Alright, that's fine. Ow. I just had to find Grant's guard dog.
Give me a moment.
Bag's empty.
Oh yeah, you wanna go?
Be careful of my rover.
Yeah, I go find the rover you dropped.
Alright, grab samples. Rover here.
Thank you.
Is that a jammer in the back?
Reloading.
There looks like to be a jammer here for the what's-my-whoosies.
Ah, goddammit, we have to get rid of the jammer first. That's a knight. Hey, tower,
Ow.
get over here.
Is that the jammer there? The big thing that's like emanating red? Oh yeah, happy macro het. Hey Valkyrie, what do you know about
Yeah.
macro March?
Surprising as it may sound, not much.
Oh, let me. All right, so for the uninitiated in chat, and oh, hang on, I need to reload. Give me a minute. Try not to die. For the uninitiated, Macro March is a month designated by the furry community as a month where you want to focus on a particular fetish. In this case, macro. It's everything big, all right? The muscles are big, the cock is big, the balls are big, the boobies are big, the women are big.
So it's not just GTS stuff, it's just like everything.
Anything. Thank you for the hyper himbo het to help prove the point. One of the things I need to look into doing. Hang on a second, let me kill this fabricator.
How about it now?
There we go.
God, it's been a year since I played
Nice.
Cookie for Jason.
property damage.
Heh. Oh, I know.
I got-
Property. I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, I got an early copy of that in March, like last year. I think that was a year ago now. Jesus, time flies.
Yep, and I think it also gives you like they've introduced an option to do the words. They fail me.
VTuber models, yeah.
Yes, the VRM. So if you've got like a 3D model, you can add it into the property damage game. I'll put
Yeah.
that on my to-do list.
Should message Dare Looks. I'm sure they'll give you a code if you ask.
Who?
The developer Dare Looks on Twitter.
I am not going to do that. I am not gonna go like direct. Oh.
Come on. Ah, there we go.
Let me just hide behind my Gatling. Oh! I'm blaming Eviscerator because it said Eviscerator is responsible for my death.
Yeah, the mortar turret is still out there.
Noted! I wasn't anywhere near enemies, though.
I don't even know what it fires on half the time, to be honest. But yeah, it's there.
Oh, Hellbomb. Oh, don't steal my
Yep.
shirt. I'm in the middle of, like, fighting for my life here. Ding, ding, ding,
Yay.
ding, 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 ding.
Who needs a shirt when you're fighting for your life?
Me. I need a shirt. It gives me armor protection. Alrighty. Preparing Hellbomb.
A shirt only makes the abs weaker.
Alright. Start heading south. Or start heading north, sorry.
Start heading somewhere.
If
Somewhere
I head north,
other
then I'm
than...
going to hit the bomb.
Oh, that's bad. That's very bad.
Nice. Dropship destroyed. And
Oh,
apparently...
yeah, Grant, you're near the samples I dropped.
Yep. Got him.
Sweet.
That's diligence. Hey, machine gun. I'll take that.
There's a bit of
Alright.
fighting going on over here. Ow.
There is an escape pod with some data we could be grabbing.
Habibi, please. Just die.
He's doing.
Sweetheart. There we
Putting
go.
down a mortar turret. Hopefully that could help a little bit.
Well, I'm flying all over the place. And again.
There we go.
Actually, I have no idea what that's firing on. I think it may have just upset even more enemies. That's not my problem.
Oh, geez, thanks for making it not your problem.
Rare sample collected.
Oh, yes, appreciate it.
I mean, they've all died, so it's all good.
Yep. Don't mind me as I, like, run through all this destruction. Chat seems to think
Somehow
that,
it's
like,
alright.
I can... I'm immune to bullets, apparently. I can just catch bullets between my pecs and just be like, haha, the power of Titty protects me.
We must protect Titi. I'm gonna die.
Protect.
I'm dead.
Ow.
Calling down a
I have...
So, after doing a very deep research, it appears that I cannot take the minigun in my face.
Understandable.
reinforcing.
Rover available for anyone.
Might take it for a little while.
I have an extra as well.
Alrighty, we can now pick up the samples and make our way north.
Get some. Get some.
Obligatory reminder, get some.
Wish I could get some.
Reloading.
Where's the samples?
Time to declare democracy.
Who's shooting me then? Reloading.
Because I'm going to punch them right into the...
Fabricator to the north. Alright, can we cross this?
I
Yep.
think we should be able to.
Looks like we can.
There's your stuff over there.
Wait, can I hit it from here? Maybe. Come on.
Safe if you wanna go get your stuff back there. Nice.
Nice! Alright, well the only other thing then is like some debris over here. Might have something here for all we know.
Downside of that is we've upset the locals.
So
It just
seems-
says it in the top left for you. You have upsetted the locals.
Shoots the base right in the distance. Someone answers, "Motherfucker!"
Hey, Ginger Fox, hello.
Oh, hi there, Ginger Fox. I'm doing fairly well. I am playing some Helldivers 2. I'm going up in levels and what have you. Joined with me is Valkyrie Nixia and Eviscerator. Thank you for organizing the shout-out, Jason.
Oh shit, they just bound in. Yeah, they're on us.
Yeah, that's a bit of an army over there to the northwest.
Yep.
Alright, let me drop
And
the...
Calling down a sentry.
and he's still alive.
Last reload. Bag's empty.
Army of angry chainsaw dudes.
Oh. Damn it. The MG Raider got me. Hi there, YY.
Great Shadow Legends.
I'll pick up my stuff.
Support weapon.
Reporting to the front.
Wait a second, was I just swimming? I can do that.
Yeah,
can
but
swim?
be aware that if you run out of stamina or something like that, you will drown and die.
No, okay.
So it's one of those cases of
Hello.
only do it if you know you can get to the other side. Ow.
It's like Red Dead.
Yeah. There we go. So yeah. Hello again. How am I? I'm doing all right, Sage. Thank you for asking. We're doing some Helldivers 2. If you've got the game and you're feeling confident, you could join us as our 4th member.
Last reload.
Yee. Democracy's better with 4 people.
Democracy is great with friends. So long as all your friends agree with each other and that there is no political differences. Otherwise, we are going to have to forever never be friends, and I will object to everything you say unequivocally. You know how it is.
There is nothing but democracy.
Exactly. So long as it's my democracy.
Ah, there
Yeah.
you go.
I'm gonna need to call down a resupply if that's alright.
Understood. Oh, that's an airstrike.
Yep.
Found something. Have a taste of democracy.
Stop shooting me in my dick.
Reloading.
Support weapon.
There.
That's not going to hit.
Oh, a bunch of grenade launchers. How neat.
Nice. Flanking.
Yep.
Got outpost spotted. Requesting sentry. Requesting sentry.
That's a lot of 80s.
Oh, that's a bomb. Why do you get to drop
Video-
the bombs?
Video, very good timing, by the way. Your Gatling gun is still there.
Oh, nice. Also, look at the stretch geometry. Do you see this? Oh, wait. It's just absolutely lengthy. Just going... Vroom, pulling it all the way.
Oh no. Oh no.
I don't think these buildings are made
Oh,
for
no.
having a crater under them.
I made an oopsie. I'm stuck.
We might have to put them down.
Hang on.
Yeah.
No, he's out.
Oh. So,
You idiot. Here's the problem.
Eh, it was in the moment.
His spear thingamajiggy is now, like, under the building as well.
No, that's fine. It's empty.
Alright, alright.
see, everything works out in the end.
Everything is awesome.
Everything is good when you're part of a team. Yeah, they got rid of the autocannon quickly.
Well, that's a huge minefield.
Don't worry about it.
Oh no, you're not calling it a friend.
Oh,
Working on it. Oh no, he's still standing. Gonna have to flank it.
gonna get rid of this fabricator.
Not already, it's still on you.
Out!
I'm gonna keep it.
Was that you?
Nah, that was a turret.
It's because
know.
it said I killed myself somehow. Could you like throw me over there?
You should be
Keeping
close.
everything distracted.
Cool. Alright, I should put me close to my stuff.
Sending a strike.
Cool.
Oh, my frames.
Ah,
My frames are getting... Oh. Raider got me that time.
There's a tank up there.
My frames just dropped,
Yes.
like, to nothing.
Okay, I'm gonna try to flank.
Alright.
down, up, right, down.
Thank you.
Reporting to the front.
All right, gonna have some mortar fire in a second.
Got it.
Alrighty, and my stuff is there.
Northeast.
Cool. Time to pick up my stuff. And try not to die while I do so.
Mortar's getting some kills, thankfully.
Yeah, call me in again.
Ding
I'll
ding.
throw you in.
Dun dun dun.
Oh, it's fine, ship captain, dude.
Shinga. Go. For democracy.
Shame the mortar can't take out the building.
I'm on it.
Real shame.
Stay clear.
Not for lack of trying, though. It is definitely tried. All right. Think we're clear.
Looks like. Nice. Oh, I am going the wrong way.
Anyone want a guard dog?
I'm fine.
I'll need a resupply, is what I'll need.
I'll put down a resupply as well while I'm at it. Because I need one as well. Got a big angry man and an ATST.
Requesting sentry.
All right, one guard dog and one resupply. And an angry cat. Can't forget the angry cat. All right, I got rid of the ATST.
Nice.
That's a Hulk.
Oh. Oh my god. I thought I could take on a Hulk. I was an idiot.
Requesting air support. Calling in reinforcements.
That looked painful.
Down, up, right, down. All right, we're gonna have some suppressive fire in a second.
By a mortar, just to clarify. right?
Exactly. Ow.
I need to stay alive for 2 minutes.
Plus side, the mortar's putting in work until someone eventually breaks it.
Jesus, how many Devastators are around?
Yep. I'm trying to stay alive right now. Oh, that is not how you stay alive.
That is staying alive and...
Am I getting shot from behind? No, I'm not.
I think my mortar dealt with everything that was behind us for... Unfortunately, everything in front of us ended up killing it.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
5 seconds.
I guess this is it, huh?
Never say never.
Yeet.
I'm just saying, like, this is probably a suicide mission now, so we have to complete the mission. We might die, but we're gonna finish it at least.
E.
I'm still alive.
Grant there.
I tried to throw it back, but I didn't throw it far enough.
Sending in an eagle.
Strike Eagle inbound. Woo! 15 seconds. Woo!
Alright, hopefully throwing it there will...
Slowing down objective equipment.
Rare sample collected.
Hi.
There we go.
My 24-year-old cat is angry.
Cats can be 24 years old?
They can live up to 30 if they don't get any liver disease.
What
Oh.
the hell?
Oh, that's not a good spawn.
No,
That
it's
is
not.
not.
That is
That
not.
was bad.
Give me a second to try and...
I'm gonna get back to my stuff and leave that over there.
Mm-hmm. Drop pod going down.
Oh, the rover is broken. I didn't know. Oh, never mind. Oh, hey, good timing.
It's not about to throw a hellfire down, is it?
Oh, it bounced.
Well, that was definitely an idea.
Yep. Alrighty.
Ow.
Be mine. A random explosion got me.
I just love the reaction of your character. Stands there, prepares something, dies.
Yep. At least there's gonna be a Gatling behind, like, Thingamadiggy.
Is that a... Run.
It would be nice if you
good
stayed
idea.
alive for like 30 seconds.
Yeah, I'm currently trying to make my way to the extraction and not fall into that hole.
I was about to say, it looked like you were about to fall in a hole.
No, I'm paying attention. I let that all get too closer than I should have.
Nah, looks like my...
That's an army.
And I can't see you do your thing now, because for some reason it decided to, like, look back at my,
Corpse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Alright. Whoever's coming back is about to spawn into hell. Good luck.
I think it's Valkyrie that's gonna be spawning back looking at the thing.
Oh, nice.
I think they're trying to shoot my corpse for of all things. I don't... Unless...
Oh, I got them back in the range of the mortar.
Nice.
It doesn't let me do even steam.
Ow.
Oh,
Shit.
don't... Is there any way...
As long as we run back to the base, the mortar is still active.
Wait, am I the only one being alive?
Yeah, you're the only one live.
Oh boy.
Don't... Don't die. Oh, there you are. Yeah, so they're definitely aiming for you.
Yeah, guys, you heard the himbo. You're not allowed to kill me.
Are you the one doing the giant explosions, or is that their thing?
That was him.
Ow.
Radio.
the big eagle bomb that you get at the end of the eagle tree. Essentially call Hellbomb bomb on demand.
Oh, that's a welcoming committee right over there, so... Left side? Left side.
Oh hey, my mortar is ready.
All of
That's a hard
my
Hogan.
like stratagems are ready at this point. So
We're at least ready for extraction whenever either of us can be respawned.
yeah.
Hey, Oak Ellington. How's it going?
That is
I
all.
have been greeted.
Alright, you should be safe to bring somebody in now.
I just been greeted by so many hellos in so many languages.
I'm just having a quick read. Hello, Diaduts. Hello, Kamasuta. Hello, bonjour, ciao, salve, tere. Hello, hello.
Oh,
Siva.
Yeah,
So
that
many
was
different-
the direction.
Oh my
That's
god.
the direction. Don't go the way Nyx just did.
Oh,
Nyx
Jesus.
Nyx did. Yeah, don't
Did
go
they
that
just spammed on
direction.
me? What happened over there? They just appeared out of nowhere, and also that's a tank.
Yep, I am avoiding all that.
It'd just be good to beeline the extraction point.
Thankfully, Gatling and autocannon are doing their job.
I just looking at Nyx's screen and it's like, yeah, that was a terrible location to run into.
Nah, I swear they just spammed in. Like they wasn't then before.
There were
Something
two guys in
happened.
front of you. That army to the left was definitely not there before.
Yeah. I think you're up next because you died like before me.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely up to you guys now.
Trying to avoid, like, running into encampments and existing patrols.
Yee. And also the guy chasing you.
That's pretty much the magic of the Malevolent Creek in a nutshell. Anything can happen.
Yep. Losing all samples and everything.
Oh yeah.
I like how yesterday or today I learned that Autodesk made their own game engine, and that was used for Vermintide and both the Helldivers.
Did that... Wait, Autodesk is responsible for all this?
Yeah, this is the same. This is made in the same engine as the Vermintide and Darktide games, and
Diver for the cause.
of course the first Helldivers game.
Sending down equipment package. Request approved. Reinforcements
Oh.
on the way.
Down, up, left, up, right, right.
How do you get out of...
That's what it
Crouching?
means. You're gonna blow up.
What did you do?
Oh!
What was that?
I thought...
Why was that?
I am
What
so
did you-
sorry. I
Calling down a sentry.
know exactly why that happened. Because when you pull out the grenade, it cooks. It
Yep.
doesn't... Oh my god, I'm an idiot.
Just gonna have to work around this, whatever.
Oh god. This was meant to be one of the easier ones.
ETA, T-minus 1 minute and 30 seconds.
I am so screwed.
just a teeny bit, just a teeny bit. Gotta get that rare.
It's very important. I just...
If you run too-
So
yeah.
many machines have died.
ETA, T-minus 1 minute.
Hi, bye.
Oh,
No, we're still good.
are we?
We got a reinforcement.
Yeah. What? What?
Oh, it's
So
having a bit
it's
of a.
now Nix's turn to get into the shuttle zone and not die.
Oh boy.
Requesting air support.
Help me in the hyperdick! Oh my god! Ah.
This has not been a. The removal of one stratagem is such a.
Oh my
It's
God.
just such a.
Painful.
It's such a cock.
Yeah, get some.
It just. Oh. And I can't see if Valkyrie is still alive. I'm gonna have to look at their stream.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Valkyrie is surviving. Don't worry.
Amazing.
Pelican 1 approaching pickup.
All they've got to do is just survive for a couple more seconds.
Oh!
Oh. Did that get rid of a lot of them? Oh, you just took a big hit.
The ship is up. The ship is there.
I know.
I know. We're just kind of.
What? Get out of the way. Fuck you. Fuck you too. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna fucking die.
You're gonna survive.
That guy's in the way. Get out of the way.
Right to your left. Just get to the
it's
ship. Oh, you're so close.
You're gonna survive.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Managed democracy.
Oh, that one was just a tough one.
Yeah, I've used pretty much everything I got.
Yeah. I feel like the first, like, going again, like, dealing with those like, the first mission, somehow we just went through so much of our resources when we were doing it.
Worthwhile sack.
Worthwhile. Yay.
Sniffles agrees.
Mm-hmm.
He I think he just needs more blood for his infinite life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Meow.
That was one for the record.
Fired a lot of bullets.
There were a lot of bullets. Alright.
I'm surprised how many of them hit.
Oh, 63% accuracy. That's interesting. I thought I was less than that. Oh no, 25 friendly fire damage.
Welcome
I'm gonna be right back.
The super
Yep, not to worry.
Okay.
Not to worry, not to worry. I'll just... God damn, that stratagem is annoying. Let's see. Ooh. Autocannon might be good. Or an orbital laser.
Orbital laser seems pretty neat because it just directly targets what you're throwing it at.
Yep. Call in time, 3 uses.
One of my friends went for the autocannon. They're having their time of the life with it. The downside is it requires a backpack.
It does require the backpack, but the thing is that if you have a buddy that's willing to, like, follow you around with the backpack, especially if you're doing, like, a thing, like, of, like, defense point or something like that, then I feel like it's such a good weapon. So, it is what it is.
Yeah.
That's for ballistic shield, that's for the arc. Laser, and then we got ship modules. Decreases support weapon stratagems. Cooldown.
Oh.
Just looking at all the different,
I have returned.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Sniffles also welcomed you back.
Oh, thank you.
I should probably grab the napalm strike thinking about it. I'm like, that'll be useful. Fire damage in a general area sounds useful.
Versus number of ego uses per rearm.
Yeah, thank you, Sage.
Yeah. Sage giving you a follow. Nah, let's give Valkyrie another shout out so they know. Actually, I should probably
Aggressively shout everyone out.
Exactly.
I am shouting at you.
Whoa.
Thank you.
Not to worry. All right, updated the thingamajiggy, so now you're at least in the title, if I don't forget.
Yep, that worked.
All right, reduces damage fall from center of explosions caused by orbital stratagems. Ooh, I think I will. Oh, I have low funds because I require like 100 of the oofies. You need a lot of it.
We are turning the people into unstoppable force. I mean, they are part of your Himbo squad and also now members of the mercenary camp.
Which gives you steering, health of the sentries, deployment time for encampment stratagems. I feel like engineering bio is the one I'm actually gonna probably go for.
Yeah.
So, I just need to get like more stratagems and nonsense.
More strategy.
Exactly. Alright. More medals. Let's use you. Wait, this
Yeah,
one's
I still need the green ones.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, you never not need them, so you're having to like spend so much time collecting them. They're never... And I'm kind of glad for that. I'm glad that there isn't a resource that you just sort of be like, throw away. It's no longer necessary to collect. It's like, nah, everything is necessary. Alright, I'm gonna grab the orbital laser.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty.
I feel like what's definitely going to stick with you for a long time are the orange materials, but the green ones are always like way much more rare.
Yep. Alright, swap to... Machine. Alrighty.
Yeah. Okay, I currently have more rare material than I do the common.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, next is launching an intercontinental ballistic missile.
Mission coordinates locked.
Sounds entertaining
It is...
and simple.
It is honest. One of the few things about Americans is, even if we have a president we don't like, we are going to... If there's ever any time for them to do military action, fucking whatever his name from NBC is just gonna have an absolute orgasmic moment about it. Alright, grab that. Thank
Alright,
you for the
got-
Hyper Himbo Sir Dragon. Alright. Orbital laser. You know what? I'm gonna get the grenade launcher.
I'm definitely starting to miss that fourth stratagem.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hellpod launch initiated.
I am starting to feel it now.
Because here's the thing, it's like if you have 4 players, that's 4 stratagems you miss out on, which is almost like an essential player missing.
Oh yeah.
So I wonder if some people are like, oh no, you just stack it so that one person has like all the reds or all the blues or something, and then it's like a split between the other peeps. I wonder if they have that kind of a technique. Alrighty.
Oh, come on.
Gonna be right there, I just need a moment. Just gonna do something.
Yep.
Okay, there we go. There's a
I'm in
artillery
range of
somewhere.
enemy artillery. They have an artillery gun. The hell is the weakness of this giant flame-throwing nightmare?
It's on its back.
Okay, excellent. Well, I've got its attention.
Who's dead?
Alright, we need to find out where the fucking artillery is. I am going to have a random guess down this way.
Mm-hmm. Wait a second, it might be north.
Requesting air support.
I like artillery. Here, have some artillery as well.
Shit. I burned.
Oh, God. Well, at least we know the orbital laser will target, like, fabricators and things.
Yeah, it's very useful.
Just don't have any enemies around you. No, there's still artillery around.
Okay, where's my weapon?
I have no idea where anything is anymore.
Where am I? Who am I?
Who are
Why
you?
You!
Sure what game this is. Alright, so Sage, real quickly, you know the film Starship Troopers? I want you to think about that movie for a minute and how it's very, you know, war propaganda-y and such. Now I want you to imagine...
Fascist society.
Yes. Now I want you to imagine that film got a video game. This is that video game.
Funnily enough, wasn't there a Starship Troopers game released last year?
There was, and it's very much in this sort of style as well, where it's like PvE extraction stuff, but apparently it didn't, you know, do too well.
People liked it, but unfortunately, this game most assuredly killed any hope that that thing had of succeeding.
Oh no, that thing was released like a whiles ago. People had their opportunity to, you know, take it in and play it, but there was something about it mechanically that didn't do it. So, yeah.
I crashed because, yeah, hold on.
Huh? What happened?
Gonna be right back. I tried to lower the volume and that pretty much killed the game.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yep, never do that.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I'm putting down a hell bomb. We're both put down hell bombs. Okay, double the hell bomb. Got it.
Is there 2 hell bombs?
Yes.
I'm dead, so hopefully your hell bomb will actually enact. Hi there, Minty Fresh.
I died before I got to activate it.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh, they punched the hell bomb away. I didn't know they could do that.
I didn't know they could do that too. Here's the thing, is like there's a cool...
Throwing grenade.
More hell bombs. Don't care where the hell bomb is, just put a hell bomb down.
Okay,
Keep everything distracted. Up, up, down, 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 down. Hell bomb's active, run!
I'm gonna die anyway, so...
Darling hope.
Is it actually exploding? Okay, it did.
Yes.
Good to know. It
I
worked.
think that solved our problem.
It did solve our problem. You're right, it did.
Okay, problem solved.
Well, it also deleted half of the continent, but that works.
Ready to liberate.
Your stuff's over here.
Thank you.
Rare sample collected.
I knew I was right to focus down that hell bomb.
Yeah.
Sending in an eagle.
Da-dun-da-da-da-da-da. I'm gonna see if I can cut down these trees.
Nice. Wait a second, do I hear the pew 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 pew?
Yeah, the pew pew isn't very effective, unfortunately. So I'm gonna have
Soon there's
to.
gonna be some boom boom.
Oh, the mortar sentry. Okay. We'll try not to be next to any enemies while it's inactive.
Shout out to that robot that just flew right past me.
Yeah.
Don't run there. Now you can.
Glug, glub, glug, glub, glug.
Throwing an orbital laser.
How many explosions do you want on a single target? The answer was yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely melt it.
Alright, we got another base and the power supply in this general area.
Yep.
Several bases and the power supply in this general area. I always keep forgetting that I can use the touchpad to go around the map. Use PlayStation.
Oh, okay.
Keep an eye on the turrets, just in case.
It's like the only time I've ever found use for the PlayStation touchpad because it actually is very accurate in this situation.
Yeah.
I hate the thing otherwise.
The touchpad, like, if it wasn't, you know, limited to, god damn it, the assault raider just kamikazed me and just exploded. If it wasn't for the fact that only the first, like, the only people that do the touchpad, I feel like, are first-party peeps, which is the most annoying thing.
And most don't do it well. I'm gonna be brutally honest. Like, I hate its implementation in Spider-Man 2, and I don't like its implementation in most other games.
Yeah, because it's like, I know, like, oh, Jesus.
The guard dog just actively went and targeted you.
It wasn't the guard dog, it was the assault raider, because if they get shot and they die, they explode.
Yeah.
Just this moment
Are you
of,
alive?
it's even funnier the second time.
Here's your stuff, by the way.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna go pick it up.
I'm currently guarding it. Speaking of explosive assault raiders, hi. And there's an ATST right there.
Mm-hmm.
Me like him in you.
Oh, I see it, I see it, I see it.
I'm impressed that I survived that.
Good for you.
This was a big guy with rockets on his back. I was expecting him to kill me before I ended up shooting him to death, but I succeeded in killing him.
Nice.
First.
Okay, do we have anything else in here? Oh my god, we do.
Ow, I got hit by an assault raider.
Yeah, because again, they will just decide to throw some fucking hands. Alright.
Wasn't even that, it was just like the guard dog murdered it right next to me when I'm like, oh, no, I don't want to be anywhere near you.
Oh, god damn you. Alright, hang on, hang on, hang on. Oh, damn it, my, thingamajiggy isn't...
Liberty, take me! Liberty, take me!
Reload. Come on, come on, come on.
No.
Alright, where art, oh thou my shit.
Well, someone's sending reinforcements again.
Get my Gatling, because I am stuck in a corner because of this goddamn thing. Hopefully the Gatling gun behind...
Giving a mortar in the center of an area with a range of at least 5,000 miles.
Mm-hmm.
My items are near this, like, one fabricator.
Okay, so I'm loading the sieve. Explosive, high explosive, 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 and mini nuke.
Mini nuke.
Nice.
Now that's a perfect loadout for this mission.
Nice. Sounds good.
Hell yeah.
I'm alive. I'm not alive.
Check.
Plus side, it took out the fabricator.
Setting all the fuses.
It appears that they don't want me to press the button.
Come on. There we go. Calibrating.
Where is my camera just gone off to? I'm back on my corpse again.
Oh, have you not been, hang on a sec.
I died again because I had went for my stuff, which was not in the best of places, and I had successfully got it and took out the fabricator I was on top of.
Alright, you may not be near your stuff, I'm sorry to say, but you're in a safe spot.
I say as I see gunfire.
Power generator.
But I am near my stuff. It's just that fabricator that was to the north.
Nah, they really don't want me to press that button.
So far, we're not dying a whole ton, like, from only one mission thingamadiggy, which is nice.
My big concern was like the mortar, but that was a non-issue. Yeah, I know where my stuff is. You can pick up the like, it doesn't matter who picks up the samples as long as someone picks it up.
Yeah, no, fair enough, fair enough. Alrighty.
Oh, yes.
Thankfully, we are not competing for samples and or the medals and or the super credits.
No. Oop, hello.
Do you need help over there, Valkyrie?
Sample collected.
Or you got it?
We got it. We got it.
Sweet.
Nice. Alright, heading off to pick up some launch codes.
I was gonna say I need a resupply, but oh well, I have to wait 2 minutes.
I've
little
killed
bit-
so many robots on that hill that you can forget about next model of iPhone.
I deal with some ammo over here at least.
Sample should greatly aid in the war effort.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah,
like
there's
I'm
plenty of
gonna be
ammo
at
over
the
here, alright.
Ammo, stims. Do some.
Samples, lore.
Oh, what does the lore say? Oop. The screen shows a picture of what must be a CEAF soldier's family holding a banner saying "Defend our." Well, that's a bummer. I thought we were gonna get like you know some really high detailed sort of like you know titty magazines or something.
You have found Seraph.
That would just get this dead guy's family.
No.
Lame.
Lame. Totally unrealistic.
That's a mortar.
Alrighty, the temptation of just throwing an orbital laser. Oh wait, hang on. There is a fabricator over that way. I'm
You can only
gonna
wonder where that mortar is coming from.
give me a minute to like get closer than like. All right, here we go. Here we go. I'm gonna throw the orbital laser and make our lives so much easier. Let's see how quickly this.
Boom. Yay, more friends.
Oh my god, the orbital laser is just. Please do not despawn when there's a middle of a fucking hulking titan there. Oh, never mind.
I've gotten 12 kills with that mortar turret. You do not want to know how many like enemies were there.
Nice,
14.
nice.
That mortar did put in some work.
Careful with the turret.
Oh.
Ow.
Exactly that. It's going to keep shooting.
Yeah, let's not get close to our own mortar.
All right,
That mortar
fine.
over there.
Let me just drop the. Oh, you already dropped the hell bomb. Okay. Do you
Ooh.
have to throw the hell bomb so close?
I like to live dangerously.
Alright, I'm gonna throw the reinforcements away from the base, so then that way they get a head start on the whole, you know, running out from this thing.
Okay, run.
Enemies over there.
Gotcha.
Ah, shit.
I'm gonna sneeze. I'm gonna sneeze.
Go E.
Etch.
Good sneeze. Oh, that was a bad idea.
That wasn't me.
Machine gun, my rover. Cool.
Requesting sentry.
Excuse me while I get the...
Requesting air support.
Please tell me this...
Hulk. 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 Hulk's dead.
That's not a Hulk.
Big angry mistletoe titan.
That's a heavy marauder.
Alright, I'm looking for the launch codes now. Got him.
Cool.
Oh, there is a big contingency of what's-mahoozies.
Yeah.
I do not have an orbital laser available.
I'll have my mortar back in about 10 seconds.
Wait for it, there's a turret. Okay, I need you
I'm gonna
to...
sneak.
wait. You're good.
Okay. I want to sneak as close to the wall as possible so I can hide the mortar behind their wall.
How'd you like to chase?
Or...
Sending in an eagle.
Nah, that's too far.
There we go.
Got rid of their ATST.
Let me try again.
I'm guessing I can't ask for more orbital lasers, can I?
I think you took out
Run. There's a Hulk, there's a Hulk.
Tagging map. Northeast.
Book it.
Booking it.
We got an
No,
army
where
of
he is.
chainsaw psychos chasing me.
Oh, he's on me.
Got some artillery available? Oh god, I'm getting raided.
Raid!
Hello everyone, welcome to the stream. My name is Grant. I'm a variety himbo streamer. Right now, I am going
flex your
through...
pecs.
Sorry, I don't know what Valkyrie said. Right now, I am going through Helldivers 2 and
How's the
joined
democracy
with
going
me...
over there?
Joined with me is Valkyrie
So
Nixia
far, so good.
and Eviscerate Tater, as you can
I
see
dealt
in the
with my-
bottom left.
Something in here.
Valkyrie is streaming themselves, and they're looking to,
That would
you
be
know,
army of chainsaw
they want
psychos.
to get
I had
themselves up to
chasing
affiliate.
me.
So, if you should give them some support if you can, give them a follow, give them a watch on that side. You don't need to watch me all the time. I'm always going to be streaming, you know,
Let's share
the
cat
Monday,
assaulting
Wednesday,
the
Friday,
can
and
of
Saturdays.
Westwood
How's it
that he
going,
finished rather
Thorin?
quickly.
Welcome, welcome. Thorin says moo, by the by.
Boo.
Thorin is a big mooey bull. I think he's a
Moo.
bull. Or is he a cow? Is there a difference between a moo and a cow?
I will use my superpowers. Also a hyper.
So yeah, we got...
I'm just.
This is where we find
I'm
liberty
going
and
to
democracy. It is exactly where we will find liberty and democracy. You are absolutely
was I
right,
right?
Musketeer.
I'm going to take the honorable strategy of tactical leave.
Not today.
The guy with the shield and the 50 other guys like him do not move fast enough to keep up. Though it looks like Valkyrie stayed behind to fight them.
Calling down
I'm
a
throwing
sentry.
a...
I mean, hey, what can I say? I'm a mercenary. Does it make sense? No.
Oh, Gatling is probably gonna get them. Hopefully Gatling doesn't know to... Be mindful of the Gatling gun.
Okay.
So where is the... Oh, it's around here. One moment, please, as I activate...
I got so ridiculously lucky there.
There we go, that's one. Alright, hopefully none of them are gonna load a drop
Got a
pod.
mortar turret.
No, 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 no. Ow.
You okay over there?
Nope. I died. Oh,
The mortar seemed to have it out. Also, that's a
the mortar is
very,
having
very...
a very funky time, I will tell you, sometimes. Alright, try not to die, because we only have like 3 reinforcements left, and I'd rather not be...
Oh shit, you're right.
Don't worry, I'm just distracting the Hulk.
Sounds good.
Trying to, anyways. Can the Hulk's friends please fuck off? Down, up. I need a new machine gun.
I'm gonna throw a resupply near the terminal, and...
Alright, I got a new machine gun.
Cool. Oh, Jesus! The Hulk just snuck up on me. Alright, I'll see if I can aim for the what's-a-mahoozy. Get a good view, damn it.
Oh boy, that didn't kill you.
The good news is we're mostly clear. Mostly.
I'm trying to best
Just
to piss
make
them
sure none of them... Damn, Assault Raider got me again!
Yeah, I was looking at that. I'm like, I don't want to shoot that while you're next to it.
Get the terminal started.
The beep
Don't,
boop is
don't
about
worry
to get
about
his
don't worry about
promotion.
reviving me.
Sorry, but yeah.
Thank you. It's okay. Thank you. Thank you. I'll see if I can move myself. No, can't get to the terminal.
I've got the terminal. Just keep
Alright.
everything off me.
Grenade launcher grabbed. Got the samples. Alright, setting down Gatling on that encampment.
Alright.
Code.
9.
Yep.
7.
Yep.
2. 7. 6. There we go.
Yep. Alright, I'll head down and unlock the things.
I
Jesus.
will deal.
I just can't win with these things. I just can't win
that way
against
sometimes.
these goddamn clankers.
They just don't like you today.
Oh, robots don't like me for some reason. The algorithm doesn't like me. The machines don't like me. Now these guys. How you doing, Valkyrie? You dispersing democracy, are you?
Oh yeah.
Sounds good.
Wait, did I do that?
Cookie for Hendrix. Oop.
Ah shit, I'm gonna have to go in.
Yeah, I don't like this.
Alright. Down has engaged.
You know what? I don't think I will. Hold on. Get nuked.
Watch out for the Assault Raider.
There we go.
I'm gonna get behind it.
Good luck while I'm dead. It got me. Oh, I just
Alright,
don't have
I'm
the
going to
armor
run
for it.
circles around it.
It's a good thing they can't, like, forcibly make the ICBM explode before it launches. That would be crazy if it could.
Okay, so what's going on in here?
Launching
Hey, we
in
got
a
a
couple
Hulk.
seconds.
I see. Hold on.
To the left, top left, B2.
There we go.
Yep, that works.
Our Hulk belt looks sweet.
Need help? It would be appreciated help, Hendrix, yes.
I'm giving you friend.
Friend.
Glug, glub, glug, glub, glug.
Thank you for the self-care, Sir Dragon.
Alright, missile is launched.
Nice.
Tactical nuke incoming.
Hopefully the chainsaw arms aren't going to be a problem.
You've done your duty. You may
Yay, we did it. We sent them the cookies.
Woo!
Wait a second. Are cookies normally radioactive?
Technically everything has a small faction of it.
Oh.
Did we pick up everything?
Not sure. Maybe.
Like, there isn't any... I don't see any, yeah, no, I don't see any missing, samples. So, yeah. Let's head to... start making our way. Jesus.
Give me that random sample that I just found right there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, nice work.
Yoink, yoink.
Yonky, yonky.
Ow.
Zoom in. Big guy over there. The hell is that? Oh,
That's a Hulk. Yeah, flank it by the right side. There's two of them.
I was just more curious of like, what is that base? And it looks like you've already cleared it out and such like that, so not a problem now.
The Hulk is not aggressive, so I'm just gonna ignore its existence.
Hi there, Angirl. Welcome to the stream. And Cookie! Don't worry, it's not radioactive. Don't listen to what I was talking about like minutes earlier.
It definitely is radioactive.
No, don't say that.
It's partially. Only partially.
It's not radioactive.
Oh, we're doing the thing which... Ah, okay. It's not radioactive.
Yep.
Only partially. Not radioactive. It's a radioactive that's not dangerous.
Yes.
It's the horny radioactive.
It's the radioactive of those plates they used to sell in the 80s. I forget what they're called.
Microwave plates?
They were microwavable, yeah, but they were a specific brand of glass plate.
Oh.
That was... Yeah, they set off, like, if you put a Geiger counter to them, it'd be, like, ow. So there was an army that was following me.
Oh, Jesus Christ. And that thing decides to just land right in front of me.
Leave the
Where
him
the
alone.
hell did I just land?
Good question.
Yes.
Okay, I'm definitely not getting any of that stuff again.
What? How far away were you?
My stuff is where all the enemies are currently entering.
Oh, that's...
Run, run.
Fuck.
Oh my god. Why do you do this to me?
I've got shot in the face and dropped the eagle strike.
Good news, I got my stuff back.
Oh, cool. You came back. Nice.
Yeah, really sorry for that, Hendrix.
Ah!
They sent me flying and I had the Eagle Strike in my hands.
I'm trying not to die, and my frames are having a fun moment. Oh, Jesus.
Oh, I was killed by Zeebs.
Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to do that.
No, it was the robot exploding. It just said you killed me.
Oh my god, it's the fucking... Alright, hang on, hang on.
The good news is if you die, only one of us will come back.
That's the Hulk.
Yep, I know, I know. I don't know if I have the samples, so... Oh, there they are. Oh, Jesus.
Survival first, sample second.
Yeah! I can do both! You dropped in on the Eagle Strike. I am so sorry, Hendrix, that happened to you. Woo! We survived! This next time around, we'll have a full party with us, which will be good. Hey, we did all the optionals as well. Okay, okay.
Nice.
One extract. Oh my goodness, we did all the, like, other than the Helldiver, we nearly got, like, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Nice, nice, nice. Full stars. We get ourselves 100 increase in the thing. That's cool.
Near total victory.
Nice. Nice amount of, thing. And I leveled up. Level 16 now.
So how much time do I have? Like hour, maybe two?
I have an hour in me, yeah. So
So what's the plan after? Are we going to raid Daisy or someone else?
I reckon we'll raid Dazzy. I think that's a good option. We'll go for however long you feel, and then we'll raid together and such like that. So
Look at Hendrix's stats.
Yep.
I did so much.
hey, only one death and no friendly fire.
Oh, that's a nice armor.
Which one? Hendrix's? Oh, I love the little eye thing. That's cool. That's cool. I like that.
New difficulty extreme.
Alright, let's see.
Wait, what?
Cannot get
500? What's my speed?
Hero of the Federation. Hey,
Oh.
stop stealing my shirt. Why does everyone want my shirt? Alright, how much does it cost to get... How am I supposed to... Oh, okay, so it costs 1,000 points to get it. Okay. And then...
I'm going to fix something real quick. Where is it?
Okay, for the Hyper Healing Boot. Support weapons, deploy with maximum thingy. Decrease thingy. Oh, thank you for the peck dance there as well, Nixia. Just...
Too much?
Nah, it's fine. I have it there. I have it there for a reason. I used to... Actually, fun fact, the nipples used to be a lot more pronounced because, like, Twitch was, like, you know, being sexist by being like, oh, female presenting nipples, but males are okay kind of thing. And I was like, I know exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have my tits out, and I'm gonna have so here's the thing. When I got my VTuber like rigging and all that stuff done again, so then that way I could do asymmetrical design. Wulcon, the person responsible for my model, they did a safe for work thing for me. So then that way the nipples, like, it doesn't seem very obvious with this one because you can kind of like sort of see it. But if I really quickly just turn, oh, that's not doing it. Why is it? Nope. Oh, okay. No, I know it's okay. If it wasn't hyper himboed, it would like the chest would be a lot more flatter. But the other thing is that I have a not safe for work thing to flatten the nipple. That was turned off, and the texture, the nipple and the areola was like a lot more prominent. So, but then after a while, it was like, there is the potential of someone from work or from family seeing this. So, so I stopped it. Reduce deployment time for old things. Reduces deployment for orbital by 1 second.
Hendrix?
What's Hendrix? Oh, Hendrix left? What? Oh, crashed, he said.
Oh.
So, yeah, shame about that.
This is why I just got the game on console, and like, it's gonna have a bunch of issues on PC, isn't it? And it's like, yes, everyone who bought it on PC has had like 80 issues.
I think it's just because, like, it's a mixed bag on where the developers are focusing and such, but I feel like if a developer is focusing on console releases, then normally the console is where they put the effort in first, and then there's problems with the PC and such. If the PC is first, then optimization, I feel like, is a mixed bag of, it could be nothing is optimal. Like, the PC will be like power hungry. The consoles themselves will have all these like issues of like they just weren't first equipped for that kind of game, so you might be low on features or something.
Most of the games have been pretty much, you know, the same, with the exception of like a singular one so far, which is Baldur's Gate 3 for the Series S, which is missing split screen co-op.
Yeah. And that was actually a thing that hang on, why can't I do? Is it on the other one? Why can't I do the stratagem hero thing?
But even then, it's going to get split screen co-op eventually.
Eventually.
It's just a
the thing
compromise
is that,
so they can
so
release before 2023.
So yeah, because here's the thing: is like Baldur's Gate 3 had been in development for like nearly a decade and was in early access as well for like 3 to 4 years. It was in early access where you had to pay for full price as well. There was no discount because that's normally how early access games go, is that there's a bit of a discount for getting into the game earlier because, you know, you're getting into a game that's not finished, and it's sort of like it's, you know, a quote unquote investment. But they asked like full price for that particular game, and it was in early access for like 3 or 4 years. And yet people still thought it's like, oh yes, this is what the gaming industry should do. And it's like, the circumstances of this thing's like development and then later on its success is not something replicatable. It's like doing fucking Ben-Hur back in Hollywood 1950s era. It worked, and we have more examples of people trying and failing to replicate it than actual, like, you know, going back and trying to learn their own thing. I really feel like video games in the last like we're gonna get in the next decade, we're just gonna have the 1960s kind of treatment where we're gonna have games like, you know, the Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, and some of the bigger studios just not having a good time in trying to spend a lot of money on very expensive like studios to make these really big, almost impossible to absorb kind of games. And the only real means of being able to move away from that is like just a reevaluation on how games are developed, full stop, not just a one-size-fits-all solution of like, oh, do this genre or follow the indie game scene, because the indie game scene, like 4% of indie games like succeed.
Well, here's the problem. Like, majority of the AAA companies now make games to make profit. They are not making games to make you as a customer happy. Unlike the indie companies, which are pretty much like freelancers, they are doing it to make you happy in the first place. Most of them, that is.
Most of them, but the thing is that
Blizzard, they don't care.
The issue, I think the issue isn't a case of like, oh, like one's make like passion and such like that, because the thing is that the like corporations, there are people in there being passionate and what have you, and then it's just a case of, you know, someone is getting into the works on when a game is made and such, and tainting the message or what have you. I think one of the, granted, it's probably it's a bit of an it's a bit of an oversimplification, but video games for way too long have been built in a premise of, I like this system and I can get it, and I can convince people you can make money off the system. So the early access model, the survivor horrors to the extraction based genre, like, where all of these different like kind of game modes are trying to like fit into the whole, you know, be able to make money kind of thing, because back when video games were first made, they were still running the same sort of rulings of, you know, remember how games like Sonic and shit was like, oh, you had a set number of lives and things? That came from earlier game development back when it was all arcades where you had to use coins as your lives and such. We didn't get rid of that until like decades later, and the reason why was like, oh, because it's kind of stupid having this thing in, like, you know, a life counter, when really what ends up happening is you're just gonna try and play it again afterwards. There is no cost to it and what have you. And I'm glad we haven't worked backwards in trying to create these early access games that are like, oh, here's a set of lives, like what the mobile games are doing now.
Problem that any dev that would want to copy Baldur's Gate 3 would have is Baldur's Gate 3 was in development for almost 10 years.
Yeah.
And longer if you count what previous studios are working on, like Obsidian with Baldur's Gate 3, whatever it was called, because they were the original devs and all that. But yeah, like the current Baldur's Gate 3 has been 7 years of development and a Kickstarter.
Yeah. It was a Kickstarter, it was an early access, and what's more is, this studio, Larian Studios, this is not their first rodeo in the turn-based combat and such. That they did this like all the way back at Divinity 1, and they did it again at Divinity 2, which was also an early access Kickstarter sort of game. They're not a studio that is like, you know, brand spanking new to this thing where it's like, oh, here's 2 or 3 indie titles and now Wizards has given them like the keys to Baldur's Gate kind of thing. It's like, no, they didn't get the Warhammer treatment of, oh, here's a cool demonstration, now let's get you doing the next one. It's like, no, these guys demonstrated like time again of like, as a AAA doing the AAA thing, and they had like a good half a dozen games of that quality.
Yeah.
So
the only studio that can really hope to emulate what they've done would probably be In Exile, but that would be up to Microsoft because they're a Microsoft studio. They've done that too. They've done that with the Wasteland series. The Wasteland games. The last 2 were
my honest
Kickstarter
opinion.
Games.
Because of the amount of scale and like just communication it would take to try and, you know, get a game of this scale and getting it worked out and such like that, would be Ubisoft. I know that sounds crazy. Look, I know it sounds crazy with how Skull and Bones is right now and such, but, you know, everyone has their theories as to why Ubisoft Singapore was like stuck trying to make this game for 9 years. But when you look at titles that they've actually when you look at the titles they stuck to, such as For Honor, Rainbow Six Siege, and Riders Republic, they very much are a stick to your guns kind of thing, and, you know, continue the work and what have you, which is what Larian Studios had to do when they first did an early access of Baldur's Gate with Act 1, and then, you know, working on to try and get Act 2 and 3 out the gate. Even after the full game, like 1.0 was released, you still had all these bugs in Act 3. I'm at like the 6th or 7th patch for Baldur's Gate, and me and Code have run into like a bug issue in Act 3 as well. The only people that can have done what Larian did, despite the fact, you know, Larian is the only one that could do it because they were the only ones doing this turn-based nonsense, would be an equally large international company like Ubisoft. And maybe Blizzard, but I think no one was expecting Blizzard to do their the shit they were doing in the 2000s.
Yeah, Diablo 3 is kind of Blizzard's own essentially turn things around, because Loot 2.0 and later Reaper of Souls, but they're probably never going to do something like that again. They care more about profit, unless Microsoft or Xbox change shit around them. They're just more about the profit than they are about making a game that people want to play. It's the same as also kind of true for Ubisoft. Is they're just trying to profit as much as they can, while not entirely focusing on how well the game plays. Like, Rainbow Six Siege gets support, but Rainbow Six Siege also has more microtransactions than Fortnite, Apex combined. And then,
Yeah, and unfortunately,
it comes down to passionate studios. That's why I kind of go with an Exile. They're very passionate about what they do. Like, even after they were bought by Xbox, they put out some of the stupidest shit you'll ever see on YouTube.
That's good.
Like, they are the original developers of Fallout. They're the original developers of Baldur's Gate. They are passionate about what they do, and they're very good at what they do. They don't really need patches. They put out a good game, and it's a good game from day one.
My feelings about games, maybe it's just because I'm working full time and I just barely have living on my own, I barely have the money and I barely have the time to be able to go into like every kind of game that gets released, especially if we try and expand to like indie games, because there's usually like 9,000 a year released or something crazy like that. What I've been seeing recently is just this sort of changing of the vanguard. It's less about, here's a title from Microsoft, here's a title from Blizzard, here's a title from Ubisoft, which is what it was in the 2010s. Now it's really heavy into you're kind of reliant on marketing and third-party reviews and like just sort of pundits in the way. But there are some new companies coming in, like Larian Studios, Respawn Entertainment. Sorry, not Entertainment. Respawn Games. Like we're having to learn new studio names for where we want to go next. All right, let's not do Suicide Mission. It's a silly idea. Let's see.
Just hoping we have access to all of our stratagems this time around.
Is there some way to see? Okay, that one would have done. Map is obscured by bug spores. Scatter increased. Stratagem call-in time increased by 100.
I think that's one thing I appreciate. It'll always be like the little indie publishing things. EA has EA Originals, which they publish some really nice things. Microsoft just has a bunch of indie studios they own, and also they work with people like Palworld. And then Sony's worked with Arrowhead on this. Also, we're back on Suicide Mission again.
Yeah, I know. I was like looking at the thing because some of the effects were like, yeah, going back to extreme. Call-in time increases by 100%.
100% is not bad.
We want to go with the 100% thingy? Okay.
Yeah, we can survive that.
Especially if there's 4 of us. Alright, let's purge hatcheries.
STL jump to the Veld system.
I still need to do my thing where I get a bunch of kills with the flamethrower, so I'm probably going to be pulling in the flamethrower for this.
Alright, well, it's a good thing we're going with, like, eggs, because that should be a good one.
Jump complete.
So,
Yeah, well, system.
Mission
what I want to see happen with games is maybe it will become with the, changing of the vanguard and the more, like, after, like, nearly everyone is leaving the industry and all this kind of nonsense, I'm hoping that we're going to have new studios, like smaller scale studios, start coming in where it's going to be an incentive to create, hang on, let me go, can I not? Stratagem. Oh, if it's the eagle thingy-majiggy, I can do the thingy. All in and cooldown is 300 seconds.
I feel like some studios have seen the writing on the wall in a way. Like
Some
EA has their originals, though, they don't actually make profit off the originals. They actually just fund the games, and then all the money goes back into the indie studio, which is very not EA, but that's how their originals program works.
Yep.
It's weird.
It's because way too many people. Oh, okay. I don't have any booster thingamajiggies to apply. Way too many people. Like, I remember what's Mahuzi, Jolf Drives Hayes and Asmongold were touching upon this. Asmongold's way of doing it was like very like. I get what he's trying to do, but the language, especially at the position that he's in, was just way too like. It wasn't the... He shouldn't have gone with the stance of like, oh, we don't care about the artist. It's like, no. You should have... Don't make it sound like as if we want to continue on this way. Jolf Drive Hayes, however, had a really good point, which was that the discourse on the internet does not match the... like, how we interact with companies. Because the way that we interact with the companies is with our wallets. That is the only way they understand us. They don't understand us by... you know, a couple hundred Twitter accounts being annoyed. They understand us by us buying into things. So, with, for example, EA, as much as everyone says, oh, we want original titles and such like that, the money that EA, the stats that EA sees is that we will keep buying our FIFA games. It is their most profitable thing, and it's what's... And they look at it and they go, alright, well, we can use this as a means of keeping us afloat and such, and any loss we get from the originals on our first try, we can probably use FIFA, but if they fuck up a second time, why bother? My god, the cooldown... The inbound timer on this was long. That was effective.
Yeah, pretty much you gotta plan ahead if you want to send something in.
Yep. Good planning ahead.
Thank you kindly.
I feel like there's been a shift in trying to move away from the already successful massive companies after numerous circumstances of companies not making the best decisions for the consumer. That is their Sage, but we're not... I don't think we're there yet as far as, like, you know, consumer conscience goes. So, and I feel like the only way that is going to change is if... Because, like, 80% of people that purchase games... They're not really caring about, you know, the small, like, discourse online or what have you. They might, like, catch on to a review or two from within, in, like, movie reviews kind of style, but they're not going to engage with, like, Twitter on debates or anything like that. They'll just buy a game if it's being commented on being good, and if it sounds like it's from a company they trust, like Blizzard. 20% will actually, you know, do this sort of thing where it's like, oh, demonstrating the game on Twitch, having their commentary and sharing it in either reviews or on Steam. And then, you know, the last remainder, like 5% or something like that, will proactively advertise. So these are the ones that are like on YouTube who make this like a professional career and do everything in their power trying to argue either for or against this. Yep. Where are we going?
There's like a thing over there.
Let's go this way. So, one of the things I hope might be a thing is with reviewers, rather than, and we've noticed it a little bit ever since old talent starts their own studio, like what we had with what's Muhuzi's, the guys that made Dead Space. They started their own studio to create their own like survivor horror and such. Granted, probably not the best example, because when we reviewed the game, they were like, it doesn't really do it for them.
It was kind of bad. It was alright, but it wasn't very good either.
It was alright, but there wasn't any of the Dead Space magic in terms of like, I was kind of hoping that my stratagem would have gotten that, but I guess not.
Woo!
So, but I hope reviewers, rather than just going, oh, here's a game from this studio, instead, there will be a little more scrutiny, such as like, oh, here's a game written by this person, or, you know, this person is the creative director and such. There's a lot, you know, for example, when we talk about Fable, like, you know, once we got to the second, or, you know, if you're listening to development, it's like, oh, here's Peter Molyneux talking about his game Fable. And the only way we can...
probably a bad example, too.
Again, unfortunately, that's how it is right now, because, let's be real, good games, we just mark down as, oh, it's from the studio Blizzard. But do we know who's responsible for, like, the good parts of StarCraft 2 from Blizzard?
Nope.
No, we don't. We just know it's Blizzard.
Will.
Who's the good developer for World of Warcraft? And let's say Wrath of the Lich King. Who wrote Wrath of the Lich King? We don't know. But if I go like, oh, what's the name of the actor from The Force Awakens who plays as the villain, and he's on Saturday Night Live?
I need a revive.
Damn it, I was kind of hoping one of you would have caught on. It's Adam Driver, by the way. Oh, Jesus.
I'm kind of not there, though.
So hopefully it'll come from the fact that, you know, we'll care more for creator or story, you know, games developed for story purposes first rather than for money first. We'll have reviewers be, like, a lot more scrupulous with, oh, here's a game who have this writer and this creative head.
Games are always more than just the one or two people out per people. Like,
but at the same
Peter
time,
Molyneux probably
films,
proves that more than anything.
a little bit. But here's the thing: is that, like, you know, we like Hideo Kojima with Death Stranding. There is definitely a lot more to that game than Hideo Kojima. But when we wonder of, like, oh, who's responsible for, like, this tone, these mechanics, and these undertones, it's like we point to Kojima. It would be nice to have heard a few more out there that's up there with Kojima and the such. Yeah, exactly, like Kojima. Todd Howard? I don't know. Trying to think of good examples, like Kojima level, like, names, because it's like, yeah, we have to move away from the... Oh my gosh, we're getting our asses kicked.
Human level name. So it'd be like the person who made Tekken, the person who makes Bayonetta, the person who makes... God. Like, those are the names, but at the same time, a lot of those studios end up doing things like that one person is known for without, you know, that person's input. Think of Metal Gear Rising Revengeance as an example. That had no involvement from Kojima, yet it is very much a Metal Gear game.
It is very much a Metal Gear game, but I would be interested who was in it. Mr. Thox, thank you for the follow. I'm very much curious then who would... Oh my god, why are there so many chargers? Oh, damn it, we do
Yeah, I noticed that. That's what I marked them. I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh my god. Oh.
Oh,
I got my ass handed to me.
We are 9 levels of screwed. It doesn't help that small arms weapons only do 10% damage to the squishy parts of armored enemies.
You might want to send it a resupply over there. Or die, that works too.
I got 40 kills there, Jesus Christ. And there's still this many enemies.
Excuse me a second while I try and get away from all the problems. Oh, Jesus.
Alright, doing this on extreme is not the best idea.
This is not extreme.
Or
Oh
whatever
wait,
it
no,
was.
this is extreme. It's just not suicide mission. Damn it, Demon Scythe!
Well, guys, you're officially fucked because, and you will see just about in a second why. Enjoy your landing.
Okay, who landed me here?
Oh, hello.
Reporting to the front.
Where the hell am I?
On my position.
Engaging terminal.
Requesting air support.
Alright, yeah,
Well,
that's,
here,
a, that's,
Bolt.
a, that's
Right.
180
Everything.
turn, by the by.
Gotcha.
I'm on it.
You're with me now.
Terminal.
Yep, alright, I'm with you.
First one. North.
Stop.
Down, left, up, down, up.
Requesting advanced weaponry.
That's a lot of boogies.
Yep.
Sending down equipment package.
I love how you're saying it's like, oh, 100% increase isn't that much. It already feels that much to me.
New mag.
Yeah, it can be that way sometimes.
God, oh, I look disgusting when I'm dehimboed. Alright, Rover Dog
Maybe you
is
should remove it.
mine.
Calling down a sentry. Requesting advanced weaponry.
Why is there so many chargers?
Yes.
Oh my god, the autocannon really got me.
We got a breach.
Oh, like right there, okay.
You know what? Oh shit.
Oh!
Run.
Okay. Look. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, he's dead. And I fell into the hole with the fucking samples. That's nice.
Reinforcing. Mag's empty.
Well, those samples are gone.
Yep, they are. Yes, I am a noodle at this point because of all my muscle being gone. You can blame, Demon Oh, it's a Sylveon!
Southwest.
Okay, where do we...
Sounds about Sylvianic behavior.
Absolutely disgusting.
Map. Northwest.
Here. Oh! We're not getting that shit back.
Nope.
We are so far away from you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dropping a pin. East. Tagging map. North.
There's a hive on the south if you want.
There's a
Calling down
what?
sentry.
A hive on the south.
Alright, let's have a look.
Sample acquired.
That's 10 holes. Okay.
Hmm.
Close.
Oh, I see. There was eggs here we could go to. Okay.
Requesting air support.
Yeah, this should work. I hope.
I'm gonna have the random guess that it didn't. Oh.
Freedom forever.
This might not have been the best idea to attack.
Requesting air support.
Oh my god.
How close did that get to you?
Mag's empty.
In my face.
Oh. That was
I
not
am
my
out of
intention.
grenades, so I can't blow up any more holes.
Tunnel breach.
And I can even quote how did it sound when the stratagem landed. It was dong dong dong. Right in my face.
What the fuck is that?
Don't question it.
I'm gonna give that, I'm not going to deal with that out of 10.
Fair assessment.
Sounds like a Bile Titan.
I don't know.
Use all this. Hey, I got my muscles back.
Whoa.
Whatever it is, I hope you enjoy me bringing it your direction.
Noted.
Can I stick a resupply beacon to its face? That's the next question.
Not onto the armored parts, which is my biggest annoyance about the resupplies, is you can't, like, stick them onto creatures very easily.
Well, this thing has a big green underside, so...
You might wanna reinforce on your side.
What? Why didn't this
Yeah.
thing... Okay, hang on a second. Oh, I don't have any... I do not have the grenades. There
Okay, do
go.
we call in Hendrix or should he?
Probably...
I guess it depends if Hendrix wants to come back to this location with the Bile Titan.
Probably better
You know
that,
what, I'm
we,
just gonna-
that we keep to 2s rather than, like, you know, leaving... Doing, like, a 3-1. Just because working with partners is probably the better option here.
Gotcha. Oh boy.
Oh, Jesus! That was not a very effective,
Oh, it's coming. Hello?
I see it. I'm just trying to get a flank around it. Oh, here it is.
Hold on, I'm going to insult his mother.
Oh, that was a good hit.
Yep.
Everything on the Bile Titan. How the hell do I hurt this thing now?
And now, if you excuse me, I'm going to insult his father.
No, his daddy helped cover for him.
Ow. Yeah, that is exactly what it was called.
His sister.
Yep. Absolutely
Okay.
decimated. Alright, let's start heading east, north, east.
Gotcha, there might be some samples in here.
But yeah, you're absolutely right, Sage. This is going to be a grand old... Oh my god, what the... Oh, grenades.
Nice.
And oh, that's your spear, isn't it?
Yeah, it's empty.
Okay.
I'm so 9 levels of screwed.
So, where are we going? North?
Give me a moment. Yes. So, because it looks like we can get samples up here. Oh, wait, no, we can't, because those are your samples that are in a hole, unless the hole filled itself.
No, I don't think so.
Charger is still alive.
Yep.
We probably should not have split up.
To be fair, I didn't intend to.
Like, honestly, I just accepted death at that point just so we're back together because, like, no, being over there was not a good idea on our own.
Yeah, otherwise it makes sense for that.
It just stopped. Oh wait, no, it's still going around. And it's dead. Good for you.
Complex stratagem plotting.
Alrighty, so...
No, I take it back. This is taking ages.
Having to wait for a what's-a-mahoozy?
Yeah, for the resupply. That sounds painful. Like 20 seconds, maybe half a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit.
That looks fairly effective.
Flamethrower.
Oh,
Oh shit. Okay, which one first? This one?
spread out. That was effective.
A mortar turret got destroyed because all the chargers were lured to where it was landing.
Yep, they were attracted
There
to
we
me. It wasn't great.
Okay, so we got two options. We can go for the next hive or go to east.
Mission at 20 minutes remaining.
Wanna go east?
Can we go east?
Dropping a pin.
I think we can cut it through the water.
Alrighty.
East is where we were. I don't know if that Bile Titan's still alive or not, but I guess we'll find out in a second.
Tagging map. East.
No, it won't be. Hold on. I'm gonna grab something.
Why is Sir Dragon giving me song quotes? Just saw them like
Maybe.
posting it. Is this all like weird subliminal messaging or something?
Maybe he loves you and this is a love song.
It's the I See a Red Door and I Want It Painted Black. It's that song, the one that was used in what's Mahoozy? What's the HBO thingy that had the one with the robots and the androids? Westworld, that's it.
Oh, that's what all was about? Okay.
Oh, second rate. Hello. Hang on. Hello, passenger. Welcome to the stream. I hope you're all doing it. I hope everyone's doing all right. My name is Grant. I'm a variety himbo streamer. Joined with me is
On my crap.
Valkyrie Nixia and Eviscerator and Hendrix from the chat as we're going
Someone just
through
exploded.
Helldivers 2. How was your game above snakes? The song goes well with this game. The Rolling Stones paint it black. To be fair, I feel like a lot of like anti-war or songs such as like All Along the Watchtower or
Marking location. North.
oh, what's that song? It was used in Forrest Gump. Do-do, do-do, do-do.
Oh yeah, I
Oh.
remember that song from. Okay, I'm reading the lyrics. I'm like, oh yeah, Twisted Metal Black.
Yep.
That was the main theme. It's the only way I know that song is from Twisted Metal Black because it was the main theme of that game.
Right, yep.
Great game, by the way. If you have the PS4 or 5, I highly recommend it. Or PS2 if you can happen to find a physical copy of that thing.
Twisted Metal. Yeah, it rings a bell.
Black. Yeah, the series was popular in the 90s. It was... Sony was apparently... Well, they didn't greenlight it, but they were working on a new one, but it got canceled with the recent layoffs.
Mortars are going off all over the
no.
place. Not great.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm bordering this because this area was hell.
Canister's empty.
God damn, the canisters go away quickly.
Mortars and fire. That is my solution to this.
Oh boy, that's another one. And another one.
Calling in reinforcements.
I'm just gonna stick a napalm to it.
We're
If
in it.
anyone's near it, that's their problem.
Noted.
Oh my god.
Not much I can do about the charger anyways if it runs at you with a napalm strike attached to its face.
Ow.
Oh. I think I've had a crash. Amazing.
Yeah, you just DC'd.
Yeah.
It do be that way sometimes. I'm not entirely surprised. Bound to happen eventually. They're holding together an engine that hasn't been supported in 6 years with strings and duct tape.
Oh, that's a nice
Like,
firing line.
Nice, nice, nice.
Something went wrong with your game or app. Report this to Sony Interactive Entertainment. Helps improve PS5 hardware. All right, whatever. Take the error support, the error thing.
Alright,
Use that 1.7 megabytes of my internet speed. No sniffles. Just because you ate your food fast does not mean I'm going to feed you again.
Literal fire in the hole.
There's gonna be an edge strike.
Oh, okay.
Calling in reinforcements.
34 people.
How much fire do you want?
34 kills or something like that from that thing. It's apparently.
Nice. Still though, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Oh, it
it's
didn't
okay.
count any of the kills I got with the flamethrower there. That's annoying.
All right, where's the?
Wait, did I send some ammo in here?
All of my flamethrower kills did not count because of that crash. Thanks, game.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
At least PS5 loads back in fast.
Yeah, the PS5 is fairly good. It has a different means of connecting with its SSD. I remember like so many PC gamers were like, "Oh, PlayStation, welcome to the 2010 or something like that." And it's like, look, I get that SSD should have been added in like a lot sooner, but the actual technique of them being connected and stuff like that on the PS5 is something that's not like easily upgradable for like PC, like the way they do it, unless you want to make it that way. Ooh, explosive.
Technically, Microsoft did make their own version with DirectX storage, which is on PC as well.
Oh, okay. Oh my
Yeah,
god, we're just
like-
gonna have nothing but explosive. It's gonna be great.
Whoa.
In fact, most of the games I play on my Series X load in faster than they do on PS5, just because I can have multiple of them loaded at once. It's like, oh, I'm playing, I don't know, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, and then, oh, I'm just gonna go with the Yakuza 3 now, and then, oh, I want to go back to Infinite Wealth, and it's like, yep, I'm just back where I left off before,
Nice.
each time.
Tagging map. North.
Oh. Hopefully I survived
By
this.
the way, I'm back in.
Amazingly enough, I survived that.
Wait, who was it?
That was me that like flew like halfway across the.
No, the thing which... Because that wasn't my airstrike.
Rare sample acquired.
Well, we're alive.
I just came back in with the same stuff I had last time. So the only airstrike I have is fire. I have 90% fire and nothing else.
And all I can see is Grant just setting shit on fire.
Yep.
I'm guessing Grant picked up one of my flamethrowers.
Yep.
It is effective.
It is honestly effective to bugs. I think I will honestly actually pick it up because I was kind of worried, but apparently it is effective even on the like armored ones. I think is the crazier thing, or I might just be imagining it.
Airstrike.
Nice. I'll take that. Oh hey, a nice little pool.
Seems like that's about it in here.
Yeah, looks it. Oh, hello, heavy.
Yeah, it's going for them. Misfire.
Alright, here we go. Can't make money off of it on this. No, we haven't spread democracy to the fullest degree yet.
Throwing grenade.
Mortar for freedom.
Taking an eagle.
Throwing an eagle into the hole.
I'll join you in that.
Explosion got me. I need my stuff.
Joining the fray. Dropping a pin.
Excuse me while I pick up my
Sending
stuff.
Seif.
I think we're good. Are we good?
High yield.
Done.
Seif.
High yield explosives.
Yeah, it's there.
Nice. Beautiful. Samples over there.
Out of ammo. Going down a sentry. Requesting sentry.
Alright, so that's an arc. Up. Here's the... Picked up samples. Guard dog and flame floor here, if that's someone's.
Flammenwerfen.
Yeah, it's a Flammenwerfen.
It werft the Flammen.
Yeah.
My mortar is killing something. It's not my problem.
Noted.
Northwest. Dropping a pin. West.
That's why the mortar exists, to make it not my problem.
If you can't see the enemy while the mortar is firing, it's not your problem, exactly.
I just see the hit markers and the death counter.
Yeah,
I just realized my armor was definitely not red and green.
What did you think it was?
I don't know, but I cannot. Yeah, seriously, all the color on me is just blood and guts.
Ah, okay.
I mean, look at me.
What happens if you swim? Oh, Jesus. What happens if you swim?
Oh yeah, that's a good question.
New mag.
Charger.
Ow.
Doing supply beacon.
No, it's okay.
I am very
Careful,
dead.
Hendrix.
Have a taste of democracy.
Bile Titan.
Mag
Oh boy.
Oh, I dropped a number of samples. You don't. How did you get into streaming? 3 years ago, I had a 3D model that was not really being used for anything besides lewd renders, and someone figured out how to rig it for VRMs, and rather than go outside and try and interact with people, I thought I would just change my video gaming habit into streaming while I did it.
Hold your hyper bows, we're still working on it.
I'm just stretching. I have been sitting here for 3 hours.
I'm getting close to 3 hours as well.
Normally, anytime an ad break would happen, I would normally be like standing, but no, it's been non-stop action, so. My body is like, yeah, you've been sitting for a long ass time. You should go stand up and stretch. So this will probably be my last game.
No, fair enough. What I'll probably do is I'll raid into Valkyrie stream, so then everyone here can check out Valkyrie before Valkyrie goes and raids into Desi. Oh, Jesus.
Eee.
We can probably both of us do the same thing, because I might have to go for lunch in a sec.
No, fair enough, fair enough.
May have taken someone's spear.
And I might turn on the stream.
Charger got me
Might turn on
again.
the stream in like 3 hours.
Hmm. Fair enough, fair enough.
And in about those 3 hours, I'm going to be playing Nioh 2, and I will hate my life. Most likely.
Sounds about right.
just no sugarcoating it. Just like you're just gonna be like, eh.
There was this one person which really wanted me to play Elden Ring, and I was still like streaming on Picarto in the first place.
Yeah.
And I was like, alright, let's move it to Twitch. I'm gonna finish the Elden Ring and then it's gonna be over. Let me play something else. And then be like, did you heard about Nioh 2? Check the game and just go, god damn it.
It's
You
just
have to
another.
play. No, I don't.
It's just another Dark Souls.
You have to play it. No, I don't. You have to play it or I'm not gonna pay you. Yet.
Ugh. Oh my god.
Reminds me of like getting put in a false sense of security to play Elden Ring by games like Hellpoint. Like the other Souls like it's like the other Souls likes are kind of fun. Let me play Elden Ring. It's like no, I am not having fun.
The issue with Elden Ring and most of the games from Software is the best way it can be described is they are spicy. And the simple fact of the matter is that no matter how like diverse your palate might be, sometimes spice just isn't for you. And like that and for those that like spice, it's like sure they can go for it. But then there comes the issue where sometimes people think, "Oh, the spicier the better." But there's more to a game than just spice.
Yeah.
So
I mean Elden Ring is a great game. It's just one of those don't understand it very well games.
Yeah, no. Different people have like their thoughts about it and such like that. And when there's like, you know, From Software fans that decide to be like, "Oh, there shouldn't be an easy mode or anything like that." I'm like, "Look, you can have this sort of thing, but if someone's asking for it and they would, you know, go into a different Dark Souls-esque game because it has an easy mode, then they're not wrong for going into it." But then if someone's trying to criticize the game, like for example, Miyazaki does too many fucking poison swamp levels, calm the fuck down. We don't need another poison swamp level every time you release a game. Like, that is valid criticism, okay?
It definitely is.
Have you had to deal with a poison swamp in Nioh 2 or something?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Neo, wait. There's a swamp, but not poisonous one.
That's the distinction.
You have ignited the torches of liberty. Extraction awaits. Hive structure destroyed.
I'm guessing Hendrix has picked up all the samples already.
Yeah, and we got about 1 minute, so we gotta bail.
We got 1 minute, and the shuttle will make our way. But the problem is it. So.
Yeah, the mission is complete. We just need to pretty much get to the extraction.
Yep, I'll try and get there sooner so I can drop some. So I can hopefully drop a stratagem before the Super Destroyer goes away. I'm relatively close. Come on, come on, come on, come on.
Gotcha.
Oh my god, there's like no barriers or anything like that here.
Calling in extraction.
Oh, that's a Titan. Nice.
There we go.
Calling down a sentry. Requesting sentry.
Come on, track it. Mark it, damn it.
Oh my god, what did I just hit? Oh shit.
Oh shit.
Oh shit. Well, there goes my turrets. Oh, there's 2 Bile Titans!
Yeah, I'm still working on it. It doesn't want me to track it though. There we go. Great, misfire.
Bile Titan got me.
Damn it. Oh, hi.
The DLC is confirmed. Oh yeah, I have heard that the DLC is going to have a poison swamp, but the thing is that Miyazaki has also said, oh yeah, I've taken in criticism, and I hope people will find the nuance that I have applied to this one, and I'm like, the nuance was that you did too many of them. The nuance is stop.
Honestly, I just find this entertaining at this point. Like, you know what? Keep it up, Miyazaki. If it makes you happy, then you continue doing it.
Oh no, Hendrix died as well, and that's all the samples.
And you have to wait like 3 minutes for the shuttle now because it's double. I wish you luck, Valkyrie.
Any ammo around?
Apparently, Twitter fully released its stupid calling thing, and apparently you can dox you if you don't enable the settings. So I'm trying to, while watching this, find the setting to disable calls outright.
Wait, that's a thing? Okay, I'm gonna need to find where that is and get rid of that as well.
What's happening?
Like there's two settings: enhanced call privacy, so it won't give away your IP when you call somebody, and just disable it outright. Because Twitter's trying to be Discord and also your bank account, which, yeah, no, I'm not giving Musk any of that. Thank you very much. Accessibility display language.
Tap this, this will open up message settings. Okay.
Yes.
HQ, I wanna go home.
Survive!
I don't see any message settings, so I'm off to a good start here.
I'm not seeing it yet on my side, so it might not be a thing in Australia just yet.
Yeah, they said it launched for everyone today, so it might just be the slow rollout.
Why is there so many Bile Titans?
How many? 2, 3?
Pelican 1 arriving at coordinates.
I see 2?
Pelican 1
Oh, that's just
100.
great.
Watch where you're standing.
Oh boy. I hope you don't die here.
Stand by for takeoff.
Do you have any samples on you?
I don't think so. No.
Alright.
Extraction complete. Pelican 1 beginning.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Life goes on.
You have maintained our way of life.
Have we? Have we maintained our way of life? 3 of us are
Not
dead. Oh my gosh. Ah, yes, no. Happy macro march, Lester and Talon. Woo! All the main objectives, all the optionals, all the outposts. Incredible.
Well, I missed one.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, one of 2 the small ones we missed.
Didn't say that to me. It said 2-2, 2-2, and 1.
Here. For me, it said 1-2, but I'm not gonna worry about that.
Nice. Damn it, didn't level up from that.
Johnson, I see. No.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna pass out. My birthday's in 2 weeks. Not to worry, Hendrix. Valkyrie and I are gonna be done with streaming. Like, for me, it's the evening. It's getting close to it. Valkyrie's is close to lunch, so both of us are gonna be, you know, ending our streams and going to go raid into Dazarus, because Dazarus has been playing a lot of this game, and Dazarus is crazy good at this and just overall insane. So.
No, hey, we got more kills than me.
Fuel the war effort.
So yeah, alrighty then. Oh, I'm 2 things away from getting the Hero of the Federation armor. That would have been good.
I am 2 weeks away from retirement.
2 weeks. Alright, I'm gonna get the flamethrower while I can. And then, is there anything else I can purchase that might be of use? I don't think the strafing gun would be all that great.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Grant, can you like stay on my stream a little bit longer so I can raid Dazzy at least with you?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Alright, I'm gonna go over to my chat screen because I'm basically done here. Here's what I was gonna do. We'd raid into your channel, so then that way whatever numbers I have go into you, and plus it gets any of my viewers who aren't, like, you know, clicking on you and what have you to actually like be in your stream for a little bit, and then after that, then you can go and raid into Dazzy with the numbers and what have you. Does that make sense?
Well, I was going to say that I'm probably going to be around like for 3 minutes, so it would be like a real fast raid one, raid other one.
That's exactly how we'll do it. Like, watch as I do this very fast. Like, watch this, chat. You ready for this? Watch as I hit the start button. There's a little countdown as it, you know, tells you it's like we're gonna go raid into Valkyrie Nixia.
Are you okay with this? Like, the people?
The people are fine. There's 23 of them, and none of them are being absolutely mad with me. Here we are. Himbo incoming. That's gonna be a raid message really quick.
Now.
Yeah, not to worry. And then watch as I raid into Valkyrie, but we'll still be in the chat and what have you. Watch this.